and brought to you live via St. Louis, Missouri. This is Bombers Game Mic. I'm Paul D. I'm your broadcaster on Game Mic, and tonight, the old enemy comes to town. Yes, indeed. Renewing their matchup for 2026, where the St. Louis Cardinals are hosting the Chicago Cubs, one of the most anticipated and celebrated rivalries in all of baseball and all of American sport. And we have it here for you tonight. But before we get to that, so the big news that comes down this afternoon, coming into evening now here in St. Louis Central Time, in America's heartland. Hey, everybody, it's good to see you all. Definitely get the Bombers Game Mic roll call going. Let me know where you're watching or listening from. How do you think this matchup is going to go down? Who's going to take this 3-game series? How is it going to go tonight? What do you give Pallante for his line? What do you give Imanaga for his line? But the thing that we need to talk about here, and this is big news, is this afternoon, the Cardinals called up from AAA Memphis their top catching prospect, the 24-year-old left-hand hitting, right-arm throwing Jimmy Crooks. And the corresponding move on the roster for the Cardinals was sending down Yoel Pozo to AAA Memphis. Now, something that's important to realize here is that Jimmy Crooks, at least at my last check, was not in the lineup tonight for the Cardinals. And I think that's reasonable enough. In fact, in a few minutes, I'll give you both of the lineups. So he's not in the lineup. It also means that the Cardinals at the moment are carrying effectively 3 catchers. Herrera, Pages, and then, of course, Jimmy Crooks. And Jimmy Crooks has a high ceiling. They have a lot of hope that his major league career, and specifically that with the Cardinals, will evolve into something very good. And for a while, I was wondering how they were going to handle it. Right now, just because, hey, everybody's getting pumped in the chat right here. I just got a chance to look over again. Thank you all for coming. I'll read out your individuals out there in a few moments here. I just got to get through the news. Undoubtedly, this is being pushed by the Cardinals' recent lack of offense. And the other way you're beginning to see this as well, down in AAA, is Joshua Baez is now playing games defensively in center field, which is an unambiguous signal to Vic Scott in terms of him almost, you almost have a coin flip whether he's going to lay down the bunt or not, which is a lot. 50-50 proposition there. But we're going to wait. We don't have Crooks in the starting lineup tonight. And Baez has, of course, been, tearing up the pea patch down in AAA as well. In fact, Jimmy Crooks has something like, I think, 16 home runs so far down in AAA Memphis. So there is definitely promise here. And, the next guy to come up presumably would be Joshua Baez, possibly at the expense of Vic Scott, but we'll see how that goes. However, tonight, starting pitching, going for the Cubs is the left-hander Shota Imanaga, who over his last 2 starts in 10 1/3 innings pitch has given up 15 earned runs in that time. Yeah, not pretty, especially for a guy that's known for his control. He's able to work that low to mid-90s four-seamer and a splitter that can work magic when properly worked in with his other pitches, and they working well in combination with the splitter. And, of course, on the mound tonight for St. Louis is the right-hander, Andre Pallante, who in his last start, he pitched the first game of the split doubleheader last Saturday down in Cincinnati. Went 6 innings, only giving up a single earned run. So no doubt he's looking to pick up on that momentum coming in here tonight. And we all know just how streaky the Cubs have been this year, right? They've had one 10-game winning streak followed by a pair of 10-game losing streaks. Now, when you put that all together, two 10-game losing streaks, two 10-game winning streaks, it's the other way around. Whatever. You get the idea. They've been all over the place. And the question now is, can the Cardinals really begin to pick up that offense? Because that is where it has failed them. In the 27 innings that they played up at Miller Park earlier this week, 2 runs. That's unacceptable. I understand exactly how good the pitching they ran into was. And I'm not questioning that. And even in the series prior to the Reds last week when they were hosting the Pirates, they ran into some very good pitching as well that in no way included Paul Skeens. But now it is time to renew this rivalry out there. So let me take a look at the chat before we begin here in a couple minutes. I'm going to go take it. Let's go. The Fire Phoenix in the house. Guarin. I'm sorry, but tonight I'm rooting for the Cubs. Does this have to do with fantasy baseball? Does it? You can be honest with me, Guarin. We're all friends here. Okay. Hello, Paul, the Fire Phoenix. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's always good to see you. Ronald Lyle. Good evening from Vermont. Hit the like button and subscribe. Always pumping me up in the comments there, Ronald Lyle from Vermont. Thank you for checking in. Warren, the Fire Phoenix. You can stay and watch your team lose. Oh, we already got trash talk here in the comments. This is going to be fun. The Cardinals winning. I heard about him. I want to see what he can do. Yeah, you and me both. Good call-up, totally. Let's see. Hopefully our bats show up tonight. 1,000%. Cubs are streakier than Debo's drawers on Friday. Ouch. That one stings. Hello from Ithaca, New York. Thank you so much for being here, Dwayne Smith. Help Paul's channel grow, guys. Let the stream, like the stream and share. If there is a Cardinal fan you know right now that for one reason or another is not able to get this game or future games, and you think they might like what I do, please do share it. I really appreciate that. It certainly does give it an organic quality of growth that I think is really important, especially when it comes to YouTube. That, and really the biggest reason that this channel has become a Cardinals channel is because Cardinal fans need to be able to follow their team every day. And at the very least, I know they can join me here. I'll have the game, and I'll call it for everybody. That, I like to think, all of us have a great time doing it here. You know, getting to know you all, your thoughtful, positive contributions. You know, you've been so supportive, so encouraging of what I'm doing here. You know, it's almost like a dream come true. I get to sit here and call St. Louis Cardinal games in a radio play-by-play style, even though you can look at me while I do it, as I live here in the St. Louis area. I mean, it's a bizarre situation that ever allowed this to really become manifest in any meaningful way, but we're here now, and I guess that's what we're doing. So, we are awaiting first pitch. It's a little under 5 minutes away from scheduled first pitch. And you know what? This has the possibility of being a very exciting weekend. Kathy Thomas, hi Paul, great jersey. Thank you so much. Yes, this is Paul Goldschmidt here that I'm wearing, who of course wore at the Cardinals, wore number 46. However, this season and this past season that he's been with the Yankees, he's had to wear number 48 because number 46 for the Yankees is retired. And it's retired in the honor of the great Yankees left-handed pitcher born Andrew Eugene Pettit. I grew up watching Andy. And boy, it was great. He was still pitching after I got out of college. Cheers to that. But it is wonderful to see every single one of you. For those of you that are now just joining us here in preparation of first pitch, join the Bombers Game Mic roll call in the chat. Let me know where you're watching or listening from. What do you think the Cardinals are going to do in this series against the Cubs? What do you think Pallante's pitching line is going to be, the final one, that is, when his work is all said and done tonight? What do you think Imanaga's final pitching line will be tonight? What do you think are some of the keys to this game for the Redbirds to secure victory? Let me know. All right, Okay, I'll get to you in a moment, Fire Phoenix. Fulton, Kentucky has entered the chat. Thank you so much, Tim Cook. I take it perhaps not the Tim Cook, but I prefer you. Seattle, Washington, the Fire Phoenix, the Pacific Northwest has entered the roll call for Bombers Game Mic. All right. Dwayne Smith. I sent your link to my old St. Louis pal George, who's in Chicago, but still a Redbirds fan. If you grew up with the Cardinals like we did, then you are a lifetime fan. Thank you so much for sharing it, and what you described there is definitely what I've observed here. You know, even before moving here, I obviously would visit with some regularity because that's where my wife's family is. You know, she's a native, they're native, even though neither of them are actually native to St. Louis itself, but that's a different story. But I've seen it. I've been seeing it for many years, and it's really impressive. Get more runs than the Cubs, Kathy Thomas. Truer words were never spoken. All right. So we are awaiting first pitch here. Let me give you the starting lineup for the Chicago Cubs. Leading off in center field is Pete Crow Armstrong. Batting second, playing second, is Horner. Batting third, playing first, is Busch. Batting cleanup, playing third, is Alex Bregman. Batting fifth in left field is Happ. Batting, I believe, what is that? Seventh is the DH Conforto, followed by the catcher, the 8-hitter, Kelly, and the shortstop Swanson is batting ninth for the Northsiders. And for the Cardinals, here's another thing for you. Weatherholt playing second, leading off. Herrera behind the plate, batting second. Batting third in right field is Jordan Walker. Batting cleanup at DH tonight is Velasquez, who we'll talk more about him in a bit, because this is his first game up here with the Cardinals. Batting fifth at first base, of course, is Alec Burleson. Batting sixth at shortstop is Mason Wynn. Batting seventh in left is Jose Fermin. Batting eighth, the third baseman, is Segazy. And batting ninth in center field is Victor Scott II. And I'll give you all the defensive alignments and whatnot as that begins to materialize. Okay. All right. Yeah, absolutely from the Firefox. Let's see. Stephen LaPietas, I think. We'll go with Stephen. Hello from Milwaukee. I do enjoy listening to other teams' games before the Brewers start. Please, Cards, beat the Cubs and Council. Cheers. Hey, I'm glad you've chosen that this is going to be some of your pre-game entertainment. Now, Pallante, he's out on the mound. He's taking his warm-ups. The Cardinals tonight are wearing their Cardinal Red City Connect jersey, which is better than most of them. Now, here's the defensive alignment for the Cards. Fermin in left, Scott in center, Walker in right, Segazy at third, Wynn at short, Weatherholt at second, Burleson at first. Ivan Herrera is behind the dish, and on the mound is Andre Pallante. Okay. They will. Don't worry, they will. I like the confidence. And on deck waiting to step into the box is PCA. Not a fan of the Cubs and their fan base. Ronald Lyle, another good call-up. I sure hope so. And the Fire Phoenix. Cardinals gave an outstanding farm system and talent scouting. Yeah, they're considered one of the best right now. So the Cardinals are wearing their City Connect jersey where they have the birds on the bat. It is a cardinal red top. And with the birds on the bat on top and in script letters, classic with the Cardinals is the white lettering, the Lou. And then they have it on the back. And, of course, the ball caps with STL in front. Now, Pete Crow Armstrong, he's coming in here, getting ready to step into the box. It will initially be a righty-lefty matchup. So everybody sit tight. One of the best rivalries in the game, nay, all of sports, is about to begin. And, of course, the Cubs are in their standard road gray tops and bottom with Chicago lettering across the chest and red numbers. Now, here's the first pitch. Called low, and we are underway. A four-seam fastball at 97 miles per hour. Pete Crow Armstrong hitting .224, 6 home runs, 24 RBIs through 57 games. Pallante comes set. He winds the 1-0. Off the plate, a four-seam fastball at 95 miles per hour. Count is now 2 balls and no strikes. Join the game, Mike. Roll call. Let me know where you're watching or listening from. Coming set is Pallante. And here's the 2-0. Strike right down Broadway. Four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour. And the count is now 2-1 to PCA, who late in the weekend past, he had a terrible defensive game at home against the Brewers. Here's the 2-1. Hit down the first base side and out of play. On a slider down and in from Pallante, and the count is now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Morton, Illinois, Kathy Thomas, one of our beloved regulars here at Bombers Game Mike. Thank you so much, Kathy, for joining us. And here's the 2-2 pitch. Hit right there to JJ on a couple of hops. He picks it up, throws to first in time for the first out of the inning. So a pretty economic number of pitches there early for Pallante. He is from, I think, Mission Viejo, California. And, of course, that was fielded by one of the top candidates for the NL Rookie of the Year so far, J.J. Witherell. Now, here's the righty Horner, who's hitting .254 on the campaign. Righty-righty matchup. Pallante winds and deals. Strike lower on the outside corner, 96 miles per hour, four-seam fastball. Nico Horner's hitting .254 with 4 home runs, 32 RBIs through 56 games. Pallante comes set. And here's the 0-1. It's hit down to third base, fielded by Sagasi deep in the hole. He throws to first in time to pick off Horner for the second out of the inning. So for Sagasi, he had to go well to his left, which is actually deep in the hole for a shortstop. Managed to pick it up, plant, and throw across his body in order to get Horner there for the second out of the inning. Stan and Sandy from Topeka, Kansas. Well, thank you both so much for joining me here tonight, and I hope you're having a lovely evening out in Topeka. Here's the first pitch to Busch. Knuckle curve just missed on the inside corner, a little above the knees. The count is 1-0. Michael Busch, the first baseman, hit .229 with 6 home runs, 31 RBIs through 56 games this year. Nobody on, 2 out. So 1-0 count. Pallante has his side, and he deals. Up and away, just missed a little too high, 97 miles per hour. The count is now 2 balls and no strikes to Busch. I'll be with you in just a moment, David Hodge. And thank you for joining us, my friend. Coming sets Pallante. And he deals. Slider up and in, fouled back down the third baseline, 89 miles per hour. And the count is 2 balls and 1 strike to the lefty Busch. It's a righty-lefty matchup. I'm wondering how the crowd will fill in tonight on this Friday night rivalry match. Here's a 2-1. Strike, four-seam fastball, inside corner, a little below the belt. And the count is now 2 balls and 2 strikes. David Hodge, I'm going to be an Astros fan for the weekend against the Dynasty Brewers. What dynasty? What are people talking about a dynasty here? I think I get your point. I get your point, David. Now, here's the 2-2 from Pallante. Knuckle curve in the dirt. Did he go around? No, says Blue down the third baseline. And that brings the count to 3-2. In 25 games against the Cardinals, he's hitting .233, 11 home runs with 23 RBIs, and 1135 OPS. Is Busch in his career against the Cardinals? Winding and dealing is Pallante. Hit up the middle, fielded there in the hole, and it gets past the diving Mason Wynn for a 2-out single there by Busch. And so staying alive here for at least just the moment are the Cubs here in the top of the first inning. And now here comes the third baseman, Alex Bregman, who's in the cleanup hole tonight. The ball just got past Pallante there in his glove, and it was literally perfectly placed between Weatherhull and Wynn. So they got the runner on first with 2 out. It's a righty-righty matchup against the righty hitting Bregman. From the stretch is Pallante. Here's the pitch. Strike, slider, outside corner, thigh high. And the count is now 0-1. Through 56 games, Bregman's hitting .260, 4 home runs with 17 RBIs. He has kind of been all over the place, as has the performance of the Cubs this year. Coming set is Pallante. Here's the pitch. Knuckle curve well out and away over the lefty batter's box. And the count is now 1-1 strike. Yes, a dynasty with no World Series ring? Exactly my point. Coming set is Pallante. Here's the 1-1. Hit down the third baseline and well foul. And that'll bring the count to 1-2 strikes. So Pallante here is ahead in the count 1-2. And there is already a tarps off contingent spotted in the stands at Busch Stadium. Stepping off the rubber is Pallante. He comes to the set. Here's the 1-2. Hit there up the middle into center field. Charging in is Vic Scott. He can't get to it. He has to play it on a couple of hops. So now runners at first and third with 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. Cubs are showing some 2-out life here at the moment. They are the current bullies. Well, it's only one way you can take on a bully, whether it be literally or figuratively. Pop them in the kisser. That's what you got to do here in professional sports. Coming sets Pallante. Here's the first pitch to Happ. Strike, slider, outside corner just below the belt. 89 miles per hour. And, of course, Happ was not pleased with that through 53 games, 225, 12 home runs, 28 RBIs. It's a righty-lefty matchup with the righty Pallante against the lefty-hitting Happ. Runners on first and third with 2 out. It's an 0-1 count. Here's the pitch. Hit on out there to right center field. Going back is Walker in front of the wall. He's looking up, and it is gone. A 3-run home run for Happ. Ian Happ sends that one all the way to the Redbird bullpen, and they take a 3-0 lead. Very disappointing considering all of this has happened with 2 outs. Indeed, Pallante was ahead in the count against Bregman. And it was just one that was a cement mixer up and in. It looked like maybe it was a slider. And, of course, Happ goes and deposits it clean into the Cardinal bullpen. It is a 3-0 Cubs lead. Now here's the righty Suzuki, and here's the pitch. Strike, outside corner, four-seam fastball, thigh high, 96 miles per hour, and the count is 0-1. Suzuki's hitting .239 on this campaign, righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Hit on out to right field, and it goes foul. And Pallante now is ahead of the count against Suzuki. No balls and 2 strikes. Sorry, I will root for the Cardinals when they aren't going against the Cubs. We all have our difficult decisions and choices to make. My friend retired in Uganda. I do have a question for you here in a moment. Now, here's the 0-2. Hit on out there to right field. Charging in is Walker. He has to play it on the hop. So another 2-out hit here at the top of the first inning for the Chicago Cubs. No, my friend retired in Uganda. Out of curiosity, you don't necessarily have to answer this, but I am curious. Are you and your wife living, I believe the capital is Kampala? That's something I've been meaning to ask for you the last couple of games because I've been kind of wondering. All right, come on, Cardinals. Keep them to 3 runs. Absolutely. Now here's the lefty hitting. Conforto hitting 278. Here's the first pitch. Up and away, four-seam fastball out of the zone, 96 miles per hour. The count is 1-0. Michael Conforto, through 35 games, 278, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, and 946 OPS. Coming set is Pallante. Here's the 1-0. Slider strike, outside corner, about knee-high, and the count's 1-1. Okay. Yes, it is Kampala. I'm just curious if you also happen to live there. Runner leads off first. Righty-lefty matchup against the lefty hitting Conforto. Here's the 1-1. Strike, down and in, 96 miles per hour with the four-seam fastball. And Pallante is 1 strike away from ending this irritating top of the first. I would visit Uganda. I've always wanted to visit East Africa. Coming set at the Birds is Pallante at the stretch. Throwing over to first. Back in time is Suzuki. Yeah, I would imagine it's after 2 in the morning in Uganda at the moment, if I'm correct. Warren. Coming sets Pallante. Here's the 1-2. Hit down the third baseline and out of play of the four-seam fastball up and away, 95 miles per hour. And the count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes to Michael Conforto. Pallante simply has to end this right here. He comes set at the stretch. Here's the 1-2 to Conforto. Check swing on the slider down and away. Did he go? No, says Blue down the third baseline. And that brings the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2:27 a.m. We're on it. Conforto is back in the box. Coming set at the Birds is Pallante. He's at the stretch. Now here's the 2-2. Foul back and out of play on a slider away, and the count remains even at 2-2. Still awake or just woke up to hear the game? I'm curious too about that, Warren. Suzuki, he leads off first. 3-0 Cubs here in the top of the first inning. All done with 2 outs. Now here's the 2-2. Swinging strike 3. Down goes Conforto for the 3rd out of the inning. So some 2-out lightning there by the Cubs in the top of the first inning. They have the lead. So after 1/2 inning of play, it is the Chicago Cubs 3, and the St. Louis Cardinals coming to bat. I'm Paul D. Thank you so much for spending part of your Friday night with me and enjoying this first game of the rivalry matchup this weekend. And this is Bombers Game Mike. Let's go to the chat. Go Cardinals, let's get some runs. More than ever now. Only up for Paul D, professional game calling. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you. That means a lot to me. You're rearranging your sleep schedule to listen to me. That is not lost on me. Let's get those runs back as soon as possible. I know that Imanaga, as I mentioned in my pregame comments, has not pitched very well in his last 2 starts. 10 1/3 innings pitched, 15 earned runs over that time. The question is, as a professional, will he be able to get it together and, put the kibosh onto his slide and return to something like his career numbers? which for his first 2 seasons in the major leagues has been highly respectable. But it is wonderful to have you all here tonight and be able to spend part of this Friday night with you. Now, J.J. Weatherholt is finishing up, getting stretched out there on the on-deck circle, and Imanaga is finishing his warm-up tosses. And, of course, once again, Weatherholt's going to be leading off, followed by Herrera at catcher, Jordan Walker out and right. Vasquez, I believe it's Nelson Vasquez, he's the cleanup hitter at DH. This is his first big game with the Cardinals. He was called up earlier. And then, of course, you have Burleson, followed by Wynn, Fermin, Sergese, and Vic Scott II. It's a lefty-lefty matchup. Here's the pitch. Hit to the right side. Fielded on a couple hops by the second baseman. He throws to first in time for the first out of the inning. 1 pitch, 1 out for the Cardinals here in the bottom of the first inning. The defensive alignment, Happ in left, Crow Armstrong in center, Suzuki in right, Bregman at third, Swanson at short, Horner at second, Busch at first, Kelly behind the dish, and Imanaga on the mound. That is the defensive alignment for the Cubs this evening at Busch Stadium. And now here comes tonight's catcher, the 2-hitter, the one and only right-handed hitter with the most open stance in baseball lately, right now as far as I know, and that, of course, is Ivan Herrera. It's a lefty-righty matchup against the lefty pitching Imanaga. First pitch, four-seam fastball in the dirt away, 92 miles per hour. The count's 1-0. Through 54 games, Herrera 264, 6 home runs, 26 RBIs, and 813 OPS. Imanaga comes set below the letters. Here's the 1-0. A sweeper down and in, manages to get Herrera on the foot, so he'll take his base. He didn't even flinch. It definitely got him on a very desirable spot if you're going to get plunked like that. Besides, he got plunked with the sweeper there. Yeah, it just kind of got him on the front padding on the front of his right foot as the right-handed hitter. So, Cardinals have a runner on first with 1 out. And here comes the one and only ninja that we've all come to know and love, Jordan Walker. Batting third, hitting right, lefty-righty matchup. Herrera, he leads off first. Here's the first pitch to Walker. Splitter outside, knee high, flighted slightly over the lefty batter's box. The count is 1-0. He's hitting 300 with 15 home runs, 42 RBIs, in 53 games this year. Imanaga comes set below the letters. Here's the 1-0. Curveball down and in for a ball, 75 miles per hour. The count is 2-0. Let's go, Jordan. You know it, Fire Phoenix. You know it. And if you're just joining me here, join the Game Mike roll call in the chat. Where are you watching or listening from? Here's a pitch. Four-seam fastball down and away for a ball, 92 miles per hour. And the count is now 3-0 to Jordan Walker. Got a calf up for this one tonight. And here's the 3-0 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball right down Broadway, 93 miles per hour. And the count is now 3 balls and 1 strike. Herrera, he leads off first. Imanaga comes set. He's at the stretch. Here's the 3-1. Ball 4 on a four-seam fastball down and away. And now that puts runners on first and second with 1 out. And here comes the new guy. I believe it's Nelson, Velasquez. So what I know about him is this. I believe he's 27 years old. He has power to all fields, and he's able to really crush mistakes in the strike zone. Down at AAA in 49 games, 232, 7 home runs, 22 RBIs for Velasquez. Runners on first and second, 1 out. Here's a pitch. Hit on out there to left center field, going back and looking up, and it is gone. A 3-run home run for Velasquez, and the game is now tied. All at 3. Oh, that first pitch, middle in, Velasquez just crushed it, sent it way out there into the Cubs bullpen in left center field, and this game is now all tied at 3. Oh ho ho! Did he get everything on that? Did I not say he punishes mistakes in the strike zone not 2 seconds before it happened? Not to break my arm patting myself on the back, but every once in a while, you know, you have to give yourself some credit. Yeah, yes. Woo! Owie, Paul called that one. Here's the first pitch to Burleson. Loading away the sweeper out of the zone. Counts 1-0 to Alec Burleson. And yeah, he's wearing the gold chain. I've got the dog in me. And he takes a curtain call at Busch Stadium, does Velasquez. All about that. So 10 pitches so far for Imanaga. Now here's the 1-0 to Burleson. Hit straight up in the infield. Coming underneath it is the second baseman. He squeezes it for the second out of the inning. We are due. We've been in an offensive slump. Shota is on my fantasy lineup tonight. I just watched him go 1.5 fantasy points to negative 7.7. Ooh. Oh, well, I'm glad you like my call so much, David Hodge. I really do appreciate it. Here's the first pitch to Win. Curveball down and in the dirt. And the count is now 1 ball and no strikes. It's a lefty-righty matchup against the righty hitting shortstop Win for St. Louis. Here's the 1-0. Out and away, a splitter floats over the lefty batter's box, and the count is now 2-0. I'm beginning to wonder now if this does not portend time is granted by the home plate umpire at the behest of Win, so we're going to wait here another moment, that we might be experiencing something of a slugging match tonight. That'd be a nice change of pace. Coming sets Imanaga. Here's the 2-0. Strike, splitter on the inner third, about thigh high, and the count is now 2 balls and 1 strike. Ollie told him to prove them wrong. Coming sets Imanaga. Here's the 2-1. Fouled straight back on a four-seam fastball on the outer third thigh high, and the count is 2-2. Of course, Mason Wynn wears the number 0, which has become fashionable in American sports recently since they really let you start doing it. Here's the 2-2. Swinging strike 3 on the splitter out of the zone and away for the third and final out of the inning. But not before the 3-run bombola off the bat of Vasquez. And after 1 full inning of play, it is the Chicago Cubs 3 and the St. Louis Cardinals 3. We head to the top of the second inning. I'm Paul D. And hit that like button if you're enjoying my stream, or for that 3-run bombola there by Vasquez. And if you like what I do and you're new here, please hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell. You'll get the push notification 30 minutes before this thing goes live. I usually schedule these things reasonably enough in advance for that to be the case. Or if there's somebody that you know that's unable to get the game consistently and you think they might dig my call here on YouTube, please share it with them. It's greatly appreciated. And with all that said, me here, you there, and this is Bombers Game Mike. Let us go to the chat. Okay. Where are we? Okay. Paul D calls a good game. I like to have him on the TV when I'm doing things around the house. Well, thank you so much, Goran. I always have trouble imagining myself on somebody's TV, but apparently it happens. Apparently it does. Thank you. Okay. Yes, I did call Jordan Walker a ninja. I've been calling him that for probably about a week just because he is so low-key, right? His personality does not attract attention to himself. He lets his play do all of his talking. And so he just kind of comes in out of nowhere and then wham, boom, puts it up, puts a few up against the opposition before they even realize what had happened. All right, so we head back here for the top of the second inning. Leading it off is the catcher, Kelly. Here's the pitch. Strike, slider, outside corner, thigh high. The count is 0-1. Okay, let's see. Coming set is Pallante, righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Slider down and away, 88 miles per hour. The count is 1-1. Yes, I am till the end. Now here's the 1-1 pitch. Hit on up the middle off the handle. Right there is Wetherholt deep behind second. Throws to first in time to beat Kelly there by half a step. So it was a slow developing play. It was hit up the middle, like right around the trademark of the bat for Kelly. And Wetherholt had to go easily 8 or 9 feet to his right, field it behind second in short center field, plant himself, throw a perfect strike to Burleson to get that first out of the inning. Very impressive defense there for the rookie second baseman. Now here's the righty Swanson, righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Hit to the left side and past the diving Sagasi at third for a 1-out single. I've been a fan since '62. Then you have definitely seen a lot of excellent Redbird baseball in your time. I have to go prepare the steaks for the grill. It is Friday after all. That's always the steak's always the priority. Now here's Pete Crow Armstrong for his second at bat. He's 0 for 1. Runner leads off first. Coming set is Pallante. He deals. Knuckle curve way upstairs, about helmet high, though right over the plate, but the count's still 1-0. JJ is very athletic, very agile on defense. Yeah, he definitely is. He has a lot of range. Coming set is Pallante from the stretch. Here's the 1-0. Strike, four-seam fastball right down Broadway, 95 miles per hour. And the count is 1-1. Keep the Cubs off the bases and in the yard. That's where it's at. Coming set is Pallante. He deals. Hit down the first base side and out of play. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles per hour. And the count is now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Runner leads off first following the 1-out single for the Cubs. It's a 1-2 count to PCA. Stepping off is Pallante and looks over at first, but nothing was doing either way, so we would wait a little bit longer. 36 pitches so far here for Pallante in 1 1/3 innings pitched so far in his start tonight. Here's the 1-2. Check swing on a knuckle curve down and in. It gets away there from Herrera, and the runner goes all the way from first to third on that. Herrera at first didn't realize how far away it had gotten, and then it rolled slowly to the backstop, forcing him to go all the way back there. So now the runner, well, let's see here. Was a foul tip? Stand by. It is being ruled a foul tip. The pitch actually bounced out in front of the plate, came back up, and then PCA, it made contact with his bat on a check swing, so the runner will go back to first, thankfully. They figured that all out. So it's a 1-2 count to PCA. Runner leads off first. It's a 1-2 count. He's ahead, and the count is Pallante. Here's the 1-2. Knuckle curve just off the plate inside, right underneath the belt. And that brings the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. I think Chicago is going to beat the out of them. Well, mind your language, please, in the comments. You can feel however you want. Just put it together without profanity. Here's a 2-2. Swinging strike 3 on the slider, down and in. Crow Armstrong swings right over the top of that one for the second out of the inning. It hasn't really been necessary yet for me to make this clear because I think it's rather self-explanatory for those of you who have been here for a while. You can express your feelings on baseball, whatever they may be. Keep the language clean. Now here is Horner for his second at-bat. Here's 2 out with a runner on first. Here's the pitch. Sinker down and in for a ball. The count is 1-0. Yes, family-friendly channel, please. That's what I'm all about. So Horner, he's a 0 for 1 with a ground out back in the top of the first. Runner still leads off first. Pallante comes set at the stretch. Righty-righty matchup. And here's the pitch. Strike, slider, outside corner, thigh high. The count is 1-1. Called commission, go Cubs. Cubs fans are welcome here too, of course. Oh yeah, that's right, because Lake Victoria's down there. Now I'm recalling this. Here's the 1-1. A sinker up and in, 96 miles per hour. And the count is 2-1. A little info about apology. It is the beginning of the Nile River and the only river that runs from south to north. Also, the place where the first C-section was performed. That is fascinating. Pallante comes set. Here's the 2-1. Showing butt. Runner goes down towards second. Here's the throw. And he is ruled safe. So he manages to swipe second there. And the pitch was called a ball. And so that'll bring the count to 3 balls and 1 strike. And the play was not close. The runner got in there, got a great jump on it. And it was not a great throw from Herrera. A good job by Weatherholt trying to pull it in like that. I don't believe anybody's asking for a review on the play. So runner leads off second with 2 outs. A 3-1 count to the righty Horner. Pallante looks in for his sign. And he comes set. Here's the 3-1. Upstairs, a knuckle curve, ball 4. So the Cubs have runners on first and second with 2 out here in the top of the second inning. So hopefully the lessons learned on this one from 2 outs in the top of the first inning, which is precisely the situation that the Cubs got all 3 runs in. Now here's a lefty hitting Busch. He's 1 for 1. Come and set is Pallante from the stretch. Time is called by the home plate umpire at the behest of Busch, so we'll wait a little longer for the first pitch. Pallante's a little off tonight. Yeah, I think so. Called commissioned. I appreciate your play-by-play. Well, I'm glad you do. Thank you so much for joining me here and taking it in and giving me a chance. Here's the pitch. Hit to the left side and through for a base hit. The runner will come around third. He will score. And that will mean the Cubs take a 4-3 lead. So at the moment, that was the 45th pitch by Pallante. There are still runners on first and second with 2 out. And that was just a bad pitch. It looked like perhaps a bad slider that went about belt high on the inner third to the lefty hitter there. And he just hit it a low liner through a big hole between the shortstop and second on the left side. Now here's Alex Bregman. He's 1 for 1. Righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Strike, sinker right down Broadway, 97 miles per hour. And the count is now 0-1. He's 1 for 1 with a single and a run scored. 263, 4 home runs, 17 ribeyes on the campaign for Alex Bregman. Now here's the 0-1. Hit down the third base side and out of play on a sinker up and in at 93 miles per hour. The count is 0-2. Ollie might have to pull Pallante in the 5th. Shake my head. At the rate he's going right now, it may happen sooner than that. The infield defense is shaded just a bit towards left field. The outfield defense is playing straight away against Bregman. Runner leads off first and second. Coming set is Pallante. Here's the 0-2. A knuckle curve that bounces out in front of the plate, nowhere near the zone at 80 miles per hour. The count is now 1-2. Who do you think is going to win, Blue Jays versus Orioles? Good question. The Blue Jays have been playing better as of late. I'd have to take a look at the starting pitching matchup, but I'd probably have to say Toronto, having seen both of them this year. Here's the 1-2. Just missed with a slider on the outside corner. Didn't have it. It was about thigh high, and that'll even out the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. All right. But, yeah, I think it would probably be Toronto, or as the locals call it, Toronto. Coming set is Pallante. Here's the 2-2 to Bregman. It is a fly ball to shallow left center field. Coming in is Victor Scott. He calls for it. He makes the catch for the 3rd out of the inning. but not before a little bit more two-out offensive lightning by the Cubs here in this first game of 3 at Busch Stadium. So, after 1.5 innings of play, it's the Chicago Cubs 4 and the St. Louis Cardinals 3. I'm Paul D, and this is Bombers Game Mike. All right. I don't know if Savage has returned yet. The kid's out. I've heard about him. I haven't seen him. Let's go, Cardinals. Woodworking outdoorsman. Welcome back. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am here now. Let's go, Cardinals. War cry. Let's get some runs, baby. Velasquez, what a stud. Yeah, I would say so far, Joe Britting, that has been a very impactful move, getting him up here today and slotting him in the 4-hole. One thing we know about him now is that he punishes mistakes in the strike zone with power. And you can't hope for more than that. You really can't. Now, the Cardinal offense, they are going to get some help here. Well, I mean, presumably whenever Jimmy Crooks gets his chance, I think we're going to begin learning more about him. He obviously shows real potential with his bat. And then, of course, it looks like the Cardinals will have Newt back sometime this upcoming week, which should definitely extend things in terms of the Cardinal lineup, because they have not hit particularly well. The last time they got more than one run, of course, was last Saturday, and that was in both sides of the split doubleheader. All righty. Now, here's the right-handed hitting Jose Fermin, and here's the first pitch. A ball upstairs, forcing fastball. Jose Fermin, 213, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs through 28 games. Here's the 1-0. Strike, forcing fastball down and in on the inner third above the knees, and the count is 1-1. Hello, everyone. Good evening, Paulie. Cheers. Thank you for joining us. Here's the 1-1. And it's popped up right there around home plate. Catcher gets underneath that one. He squeezes it for the first out of the inning. So a quick out here to start the bottom of the second for Shota Imanaga. I really like Torres. Yeah, he's played his butt off since coming up last Saturday. So coming up to bat here is, of course, the third baseman tonight, Thomas Segazy. Through 28 games, 159, 0 home runs, 2 RBIs. Here's the first pitch. Up and away, forcing fastball out of the zone, 91 miles per hour. The count's 1-0. Lefty-righty matchup with the righty hitting Segazy against the lefty dealing Imanaga. Nobody on with 1 out, 4-3 Cubs. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike on the four-seam fastball on the inner third, about thigh high. Count is 1-1. That's usually a pitch major leaguers will tee off on. I think just sometimes when they get it, they're beyond belief that it's there. Here's the 1-1. Fouled down the first base side and out of play on a four-seam fastball up and in, 91 miles per hour. The count is 1-2. So if you're just joining me here, it is 4-3 Cubs after some real offensive action here in the first inning and a half. Nobody on, 1 out. It's a 1-2 pitch. Here it comes. Fouled back, a four-seam fastball up and in, 92 miles per hour to the righty hitting Segazy. And the count is now 1 ball and 2 strikes. 23 pitches so far for Imanaga, who comes set below the letters. And here's the 1-2. Hit down the right field line and out of play on a splitter away. The count remains 1-2. Antonio Gonzalez, Brewers versus Astros. You think the Brewers will win? Well, they sure have been doing a lot of that lately, I can tell you. We got to see it all week. Coming set is Imanaga. Here's the 1-2. Splitter down and away for a ball off the plate about shin high, and that brings the count even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Imanaga comes set on the bump. Here's the 2-2. Hit on out there to center field. Moving over a couple steps to his right is PCA. He's underneath it. He makes the catch for the second out of the inning. And now here comes the lefty hitting center fielder, Victor Scott II. Let's flip the coin. Is he going to try and lay down a bunt? Is he at least going to try and bluff bunt? That's one of the major reasons why Joshua Baez down at AAA Memphis is starting to play games in center field. Here's the first pitch. Hit to the right side on a couple hops, picked up by the first baseman. He takes it to the bag himself for the third out of the inning. So, 1, 2, 3 go the Cardinals in the bottom of the second. It is 4-3 Northsiders at Busch Stadium tonight in Game 1 of this 3-game series. I'm Paul D. I'm your broadcaster, and if you're joining me here for the first time on Gabe Mike, thank you so much for spending part of your evening with me. And if you're having trouble finding your Redbirds games, if indeed you are a Cardinal fan, I'm pretty much calling them all now, so you know where to find me. So if you like what I'm doing, please leave the like, and if you are enjoying it even a little more than that, please hit subscribe. Find out when everything is going down. You'll know where the game will be. And with that said, me here, you there, and this is Bombers Game Mike. Okay. Paul D, do you hear about possible discussions about the new salary cap? Yeah, there was a proposition that was given out, this broke yesterday, by the owners. I think it was something around a cap of, I want to say like 283, and a spending floor of 171, that's of course in the millions, and a 50-50 revenue split among the teams for a variety of things. So I think they're going, in some ways, it's kind of a move towards that NFL model where there's a lot more revenue sharing going on, quite possibly in terms of all the, certainly like, say, the broadcast side of things. But, you know, right now, as you would expect, the players' union is saying, no salary cap, naturally, because they don't want to cap their own earning potential. But it's all very much up in the air right now. This is very preliminary negotiations. Even making that public yesterday is the owners beginning their side of the PR battle. Time is called by the home plate umpire. It sounds like something was going out there in center field. Yeah, a ball fell in from the crowd. So Vic Scott picks it up, tosses it back in. I'm from Florida too, Robert. Holiday. Cheers. Florida is well represented. Now here is Hap. He's the one who homered earlier. Here's the pitch. Up and away, four-seam fastball, 95 miles per hour for a ball. And that brings the count to 1 ball and no strikes. Yeah, bad news for teams like the Dodgers, Braves, Blue Jays. There's a lot of complications. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Strike, four-seam fastball on the inner third, about thigh high. The count is 1-1. The owners already agreed on the cap. Players have no choice. Well, the players absolutely have a choice. It is a negotiation. It is called a collective bargaining agreement for a reason. Here's the 1-1. Swinging strike on the slider down and into the lefty half. The count is 1-2. I mean, invariably when the CBA, the current one, elapses on December 3rd, there will be a lockout. And we'll see what happens from there. But ultimately, it's not a one-sided proposition ultimatum. You know, both sides certainly do have their leverage. And for the most part, Major League owners make plenty of money. Here comes set is Pallante. Here's the 1-2. Knuckle curve down and in, just missed off the plate below the knees. The count is 2-2. Now, that being said, as far as the PR war goes on this, there's no way that anybody can effectively disguise the fact that this is a millionaires versus billionaires feud over how to cut up the pie. Not very relatable. Here's a 2-2. Four-seam fastball up and in, 95 miles per hour. The count is 3-2. So, you know, for all intents and purposes, there's not going to be many people that are going to be shedding tears for either side. And for those teams with a stand by on the action here, Pallante comes set. Here's the 3-2 to Hap. hit to the right side and through for a base hit. And it goes all the way into the right field corner. Coming after it is Walker. And Happ is at least going to stay there at second. And he does with a leadoff double here in the top of the third inning. Bad news for other teams because of the salary cap floor. I live near Tampa, and the Rays hate spending money. They've always hated spending money. But I think the idea there is that there's going to be a 50-50 revenue split. So basically, it goes through the general mechanism of Major League Baseball and is redistributed. So that would make it possible for them to do it. Now, here's the right-handed hitter, the right fielder, Suzuki. Here's the pitch. Strike, sinker on the inside corner, about thigh high. The count is 0-1. Well, you have plenty of talent coming from overseas like Puerto Rico, Japan, Korea. Yes, you do, certainly, but they would all be in the same situation. Coming set is the pitcher Pallante. Here's the pitch. Hit to the left side, fielded by a diving Sagasi. He throws to first in time to get Suzuki there at first. So an excellent diving play to Sagasi's left. He comes up, gets the throw to Burleson on a hop, and it looks like he gets Suzuki there. But right now, Craig Counsell is asking for a review, an instant replay review on the play at first. So we're going to wait and see what goes down here. This may take a little time before we get a final answer. And when I see the replay and a definitive angle, I'll most definitely give you at the very least my assessment of it. But whatever it is, Sagasi really did actually make a fantastic diving play there. Let's see. And I have to say the runner does look safe at first. Let's see. He's definitely safe at first. So they're going to let the motions turn here in terms of the off-site instant replay command center, and he's going to end up being ruled safe undoubtedly. Indeed, he has been. So runners on first and second, nobody out in the top of the third inning. It is 4-3 Cubs over the Redbirds here in the early going of this first game of the three-game set. Now, alrighty. Now here's Michael Conforto for his second at-bat tonight. He's 0 for 1, the lefty hitter. It's a righty-lefty matchup. Runners on first and third. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike, four-seam fastball outside corner at the knees. The count is 0-1. And Michael Conforto, he's 0 for 1 with a strikeout from earlier. It's a righty-lefty matchup with the righty Pallante on the mound. They got to get Pallante out of there. They got to get his number. Well, they do seem to have his number tonight, unfortunately. Okay, runners are actually on first and second. Here's the pitch. Strike, down and in on the inner third at the knees, and the count is 0-2. So, Pallante, he's thrown 60 pitches here through 2+ innings of work. He comes set at the Birds at the stretch. Here's the 0-2. Swinging strike 3 on a slider, down and away. Down hacking goes Conforto for the first out of the inning. So Pallante cuts himself a little bit of a break here. You know, that was his 61st pitch of the night, and they have been 61 extremely stressful pitches. He's been pretty much in trouble from the very start. Now here's the catcher, right-hand hitting Carson Kelly. He's 0 for 1 with a ground out tonight. Runners at first and second with one out. Here's the first pitch. Strike, slider in the dirt, swung right over the top of that one, did Kelly. And the count is 0-1. So thank you all so much for joining me here tonight for this first game of the rivalry matchup. The infield defense is slotted somewhat towards left field. Center field's largely straight away. Righty-righty matchup. Here's the 0-1. Slider well off the plate, floated over the lefty batter's box, and the count is 1-1. Yeah, Pallante's really laboring. He definitely is. And that's something that the Cardinals take into deep account. It's not so much how many pitches you throw, but under what conditions were they thrown. Coming set is Pallante. Here's the 1-1 to Kelly. Fouled straight back behind home plate and out of play on a slider out over the plate and down. The count is now 1 balls and 2 strikes. Runners are on first and second with 1 out here. Both teams have both of their ABS challenges remaining. Pallante, he's back on the rubber, looking in for the pitch comp from Ivan Herrera. He's coming set. Here's a 1-2. Fouled straight back on a sinker, up and away, 96 miles per hour. He literally just missed that one. It went straight back, hit the brick wall that crowns the portion of the field that's behind home plate. Because if St. Louis is aesthetically known for anything, it's red brick. Kelly, he's back in the box. It's a 1-2 count. Pallante sets to the birds. Here's a 1-2. Hit down the right field side, and it slices just foul there. And the count remains 1-2. Come on, baby, let's get another K. Yeah, you got that one right, Justin Beasley. You got that one right. Runners on first and second with 1 out. Pallante, he's ahead in the count, 1-2. And one of his big issues tonight has been not being able to put away hitters ahead in the count. It would be a very different game had he been able to do so. Coming sets Pallante. Here's the 1-2. Up and away on the slider. Had the outer third. It looked like it was just high. At least I think that's what Blue behind the plate largely thought. Counts 2-2. Ooh. Hey, Q-Man, Dixon, Missouri's in the house. Thank you so much for joining the roll call. Wouldn't be a game without you. Coming sets Pallante. Here's the 2-2. Slider out and away for a ball. Floated slightly over the lefty batter's box. And the count is now full, 3-2. So like I was saying a moment ago, this game would be very different, if Pallante were able to get the job done when ahead in the count. He has no trouble getting there. He simply has trouble getting past there, without them putting wood on it, or even at times putting them on with the free pass. Coming sets Pallante. Here's a 3-2. Fouled straight back on the slider, up and in. 90 miles per hour. The count's 3-2. Go Cards, beat the Cubbies. Hello, Paul and Chet. Good evening from Dixon, Missouri. Goran, the grill is heating up. The steaks are seasoned. I am on the porch with my pooch listening to the ball game. Well, I hope both you and your pooch are enjoying the call. Thank you as always, Goran. Runners lead off first and second. Here's the pitch. And it's popped straight up behind third. Underneath it in foul territory is Sagasi. He makes the catch. Manages to haul it in for the second out of the inning. Looked like at first it was slightly him overrunning it, but he managed to be able to reach slightly behind his head and get it done. All right, yes, of course, KCM. Hi, everybody. Go Cards. Beat the Cubbies. KCM, thank you so much for being here tonight. Now, here's the shortstop, Swanson, right-handed hitter. He's 1 for 1 with a single. Run scored. And an RBI. No RBI, but definitely the run scored. Here's the first pitch. Strike, sinker on the inner third, below the belt. The count is now 0-1 to the righty hitting shortstop for the Northsiders. Runners are still on first and second with 2 out. Righty-righty matchup. Coming set at the birds is Pallante. And he deals. Slider, it looked like slightly off the plate for a ball. The count is 1-1. Every once in a while, they're giving you the umpire cam that they have set up inside his face mask, and they show you the whole thing there, so you're never entirely sure how he is ruled unless you see him look to his right. Here's the 1-1. Popped up behind the plate. Giving chase there is Herrera, but it goes about 7 or 8 rows deep. The count remains 1 ball and 2 strikes. If you like the show, then hit the like button. Thank you so much, Ronald Lyle. I really do appreciate it. Kevin Douglas, old Cardinals fan living in Sterling, Colorado, originally from Creve Coeur, not far from where I am. Go Redbirds. Cheers, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. Here's the 1-2. Slider down and in, missed just low, had the inner third, and that brings the count to 2-2. Yes, absolutely. If you're enjoying the call, you're enjoying the presentation, Please hit the like. Helps out a small growing channel immensely. Come set is Pallante. And here's the 2-2. Hit to the left side, and right there is Segazy, who stabs it on the line for the third and final out of the inning. So, no runs. I think at least one hit. And 2 left on. We head to the bottom of the third inning. It is 4-3 Cubs down at Busch Stadium on the banks, the western banks of mighty Mississippi. And with that in mind, me here, you there, and this is Bombers Game Mike. Alrighty. Biloxi from Edwardsville. Cheers. Edwardsville, Southern Illinois. Cheers. Thank you for chiming in to the Game Mike roll call. What's on my pizza? My favorite is sausage and mushroom. Okay. So you kind of stumbled upon something that's actually rather strangely close to my heart. So a little more than half of my ethnicity is Italian, and my dad is really big in finding like the best pizza you can find by reputation, going and visiting those places. Quite a bit of my time growing up was my brother and I, and he going out and finding another great pizza place. So I'm a really big fan of coal oven pizza, and I'm very lucky because here in St. Louis, Napoli Brothers, who I believe are located in Chesterville, do a really good job. And I've been lucky to be, being from the New York City area, exposed to a lot of excellent pizza, especially coal oven. I like good, I like the suction cup pepperoni with the pie a little overcooked with some of the nice coal crust, on the crust outside, a little coal burning there, a little bit on the top of the pepperoni. For me, that is heaven. Though from Pepe's in New Haven, they have a few more now. Now, here's the first pitch from Imanaga to Weatherholt, a sweeper for a ball. The count's 1-0. So I would have to say certainly pepperoni. I love sausage, but anytime I'm trying a serious pie out for the first time, I always get it plain. Here's the 1-0. A sweeper down and away for a ball. The count is 2-0. I would kill for a Pizza Hut where I am. Yeah, you are a long way from a Pizza Hut as far as I know. Now here's the 2-0 pitch. Up and in, four-seam fastball out of the zone, 92 miles per hour, and the count is now 3-0 to the lefty hitting second baseman for St. Louis. Lefty-lefty matchup with the lefty pitching Imanaga on the mound. Here's a 3-0. Strike. Four-seam fastball bisects the plate a little below the belt, and the count is 3-1. I've had some really good deep dish. I have thoughts on deep dish. Cummins sets Imanaga. Here's the 3-1. Fouled straight back, right off the glove there of the catcher. Goes behind the plate. The count's now full 3-2. When I first was seriously exposed to it, because I lived on the north side of Chicago for basically 4.5 years, because both my wife and I are graduates from Loyola Chicago. Here's the 3-2. Hit on out to left center field, going back in front of the track, and it falls in for the base hit, and it goes all the way to the wall. Weatherholt will go into second with a stand-up double off Imanaga on a perfectly hit ball to left center field that just split the outfielders, went all the way to the wall. Imanaga just left that thing out about thigh high on the outer third, and JJ just took it the other way perfectly. Served it right out there. Neither of them had even a remote chance at being able to track that one down. So when I first got to Chicago, I had some trouble with deep dish, but it had more to do with how I was thinking about it. Weatherholt, he reads off second. Here's the first pitch. And away for a ball to Herrera, slightly over the lefty batter's box. The count is 1-0. I was comparing it to the pizza that I always knew. But when I began thinking of it less of a pizza and more of just a baked good, I was able to far more enjoy it because they're really different things in a lot of ways. Here's the 1-0. Chop foul down the third base side. Now to play on a splitter down and in, 83 miles per hour. Counts 1-1. And, of course, Herrera was hit by a pitch in his first at-bat, and he scored on that home run. Coming set is Imanaga. Here's the 1-1. Chop foul down the third baseline and out of play on a curveball in, and that brings the count to 1-2. But if you like cold oven pizza and you are here in the St. Louis area, I highly recommend Napoli Brothers, and I believe Chesterville. JJ leads off second. It's a 1-2 count to the righty Herrera. It's a lefty-righty matchup. Here's the 1-2. Up and in, forcing fastball for a ball, 91 miles per hour. The count is 2-2. I'm not sure if you ever heard of it, but Nick and Elena's pizza is really good too. I've heard about it, never tried it. Coming set is Imanaga. Here's the 2-2. Hit to the third baseman. He fields in the hop, does Bregman. Looks the runner back to second. Throws to first in time for the first out of the inning. So you can score that 5-3 in your books for you wonderful baseball nerds if indeed you are keeping score. Of course, on the ground ball to third, JJ stays right there at second. Now, here's the real question. For those of you that have had deep dish pizza in Chicago, whether you're Cardinal fans or Cubs fans, what's your first choice? Coming sets Imanaga. He bluffs throw back towards second. And obviously, JJ wasn't going anywhere. And here is Jordan Walker. Tonight, he has walked with a run scored in his first at-bat. Lefty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Just off the plate, a splitter, 83 miles per hour. The count is 1-0. Oh, come now. Coming set is Imanaga. Here's the 1-0. Hit to the left side, fielded there by the shortstop, deep in the hole. He throws to first just in time to get Walker. And J.J. Weatherholt will once again remain at second. Now here is Velasquez, who in his first pitch last time on a fastball middle, took that thing deep for a 3-run home run. It was an absolute bomb-ola. Coming set is Imanaga, lefty-righty matchup to the righty, hitting Velasquez in the 4-hole tonight. Here's the pitch. Splitter strike, outer third above the knees. The count is 0-1. Like the coal oven cheese bake, then sauce on top after. Not sure what the high style is called. Okay. Here's the 0-1. And it seems to bean Velasquez right there. It looks like on his right wrist or hand. He's kind of grabbing at it. He doesn't look like he's in the worst pain in the world, but, you know, he still got hit on the hand by a major league pitch and a major league at-bat. So he's taking first. Of course, the trainer is going out there to see that Velasquez is okay. Brick oven pizza is so good. Yeah, it is. I've had some really good stuff. Come on, George, drive home the run. Fortunately, not this time. But he'll have something to say before the night is out. Chesterfield, not Ville. Okay, yeah, okay. Fair enough. I always thought it was Chesterfield, not Chesterville. I'm pretty sure it's Chesterfield, but I'll check in a moment. Coming set is Burleson. Rather, Imanaga to Burleson. Burleson's 0 for 1. Here's the pitch. Sweeper down and away out of the zone. Counts 1-0. Coming set is Imanaga. Lefty-lefty matchup. Runners on first and second. 2 out. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike. Throwing down to second to try and get Weatherholt. JJ's back easily, and the throw was not great. And the count is now 1-1. It's indeed Chesterfield. And indeed, that is where Napoli Brothers is. I just checked. I want to make sure. I don't want to keep saying something inaccurate on air unknowingly. Coming set is Imanaga. Here's the 1-1. Hit on out there to set right field. Going back is the right fielder by a couple of steps. He's underneath it for the third and final out. of the inning. Did I say Chesterville initially instead of Chesterfield? If I did, I apologize. Anyway, the Cards leave 2, nothing across. We head to the top of the 4th inning. It is 4-3 Cubs down on the western banks of the mighty Mississippi. I'm Paul D. And if you're enjoying my play-by-play live stream of the game, please like it. It helps a growing channel immensely. And if you like it more than that, hit subscribe. I'm doing almost every game now. And with that said, me here, you there, this is Bombers Game Mike. Yeah, it's cool, Paul. Okay. Just checking. Okay, Cuban. 1965, I was taught to hate the Cubs, but I respected Ernie Banks, Fergie Jenkins, and later on, Ryne Sandberg. Well, I think that is respect well placed given the career and character of all of these guys. Fair enough. Anytime a great athlete passes, even if they, just killed your team, you feel a sense of mourning because, something great was lost. I mean, obviously, a lot of times they hadn't played in years, hopefully. But, it's hard not to give them their dues, whenever it is that their time comes. I understand. Okay. So, we wait at the top of the 4th inning. I mean, right now, Pallante. Okay. In fact, Ollie Marmol's going to the pen here in the top of the 4th inning. He's bringing in the lefty, Brule, who has been wanting, I think it's fair to say. And leading off here in the top of the 4th inning in a moment is going to be PCA, followed by the second baseman Horner, and the first baseman Busch in the 3-hole. Now here's Justin Brule, 24 2/3 innings pitch, a 5.11 ERA, a 1.50 whip. Now here's the pitch. Strike, sweeper, outside corner, thigh high to PCA. Count is 0-1. Coming set is Brule. Here's the 0-1. Just missed with a sweeper up and in. Count is 1-1. Pete Crow Armstrong tonight is 0 for 2 with the ground out and the strikeout. It's a lefty-lefty matchup with the lefty Brule on the mound against the lefty hitting PCA. Nobody on, nobody out. Here's the 1-1. Swinging strike on the sinker down. And the count is 1-2. 91 miles per hour. Hated but respected. The Hawk, Andre Dawson. Andre Dawson was a great player, man. I've seen the number as I've seen the highlights. Coming sets Brule. Here's the 1-2. Upstairs, four-seam fastball out of the zone, 91 miles per hour. Count is 2-2. And Brule comes set below the birds. Now here's the 2-2 pitch. Sweeper away, well off the plate, and the count is now 3-2 strikes. So if you're just joining me here, some early offensive action in the first 2 innings has made it 4-3 Chicago, though neither starter has looked great. Indeed, the Cardinals are already pulled theirs. Swinging strike 3 on the sweeper, down and away. Down, hacking goes PCA for the first out of the inning. So the lefty-lefty matchup with Brule there worked out. Good call, Ollie Marmol. Cubs were really kind when Darryl Kyle passed away in Chicago. Cubs showed some real class that day in Chicago. Yeah, I have trouble thinking about that. Here's the pitch. Sweeper off the plate for a ball. The count is 1-0 to the righty hitting Horner. No, I remember when Darryl Kyle died in his hotel room. I think it was a brain aneurysm, as I recall. Here's the 1-0. Hit to the shortstop. When he comes in, fields on a pair of hops. He throws to first in time to get Horner for the second out of the inning. Yeah, that was utterly tragic. It was a young family, a very talented, pitcher that was coming into his own. One of the tightest curveballs you'll ever see. I believe, what was that, 2002? I remember it very well. Now, Brule comes set against the lefty hitting Busch. Here's the first pitch. Strike, sinker, right down Broadway, thigh high. The count is 0-1. So Brule gets these first 2 outs quickly, and that's exactly what the Cardinals have needed so far. He comes set below the Birds. Here's the 0-1. Strike, sinker on the outer third, knee high to the lefty hitting Busch. Once again, it is a lefty-lefty matchup, and the count is now 0-2. Yeah, an absolutely devastating 12-6 curveball. I remember that about him with fondness. Coming set below the Birds is Brule. Here's the 0-2. Upstairs, four-seam fastball out of the zone, bisected the plate, but it was about letter high, and the count is 1-2 strikes. The infield defense slightly shaded towards right. Outfielders playing straight away. Here's the 1-2. Hit to the right side and through the hole for a base hit. Fielding it there in right center is Victor Scott. And so Busch will have himself a 2-out single in the top of the 4th inning. Okay. So, runner leads off first with 2 out. Here's the first pitch to Bregman. A sinker down in the dirt, well out of the zone, 92 miles per hour. The count is 1-0. Alex Bregman, he's 1 for 2 tonight with a single and a run scored. Runner leads off first. Coming set below the Birds is Brule. He holds, and now here's the 1-0. Strike, sinker, outer third below the belt. The count is 1-1. So right now, Brule has one job. That's to keep the Cubs right there. He looks in for a sign from Herrera, and he comes set below the Birds at the stretch. Here's the 1-1. A sweeper down and in, and it gets a piece there of Bregman. So there's a hit by pitch here with 2 out. Runners on first and second with 2 out in the top of the 4th inning. Saw Darryl Kyle the day before his death. He and pitching coach working on stuff before a game. My seat was behind the bullpen mound. Those were good seats. And Dave Duncan, I believe, was pitching coach at the time. Now here's Ian Happ. He's 2 for 2 with that big 3-run home run in the first. It's a lefty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Hit to the left side, fielded by Segazy on the ground. He throws to first in time to end the inning. So a bit of a jam there for Justin Brule with 2 outs, but nothing comes of it. No runs, 1 hit, and 2 left on. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. I'm Paul D. Thank you so much for spending part of your Friday night with me and catching some of Game 1 of this series here with my call of Bombers Game Mike. And with that said, me here, you there, and this is Bombers Game Mike. Let's go to the chat. Okay, yes, it was Dave Duncan. You know, for the most part, I don't really feel like there is like a huge impact for most pitching coaches or hitting coaches. But in the case of pitching coaches, Dave Duncan is a huge exception to that in my mind, which is interesting because he wasn't even a pitcher. I think professionally he was a catcher. But think of all the reclamation projects that Dave Duncan had so much success with. I mean, the millions of dollars that were earned by those pitchers afterwards, thanks to Dave Duncan's intervention. I mean, he was a miracle worker, an absolute miracle worker. Fire Phoenix. Let's go Cardinals. Let's get some runs. He and Tony La Russa worked so well together. It was almost unfair at times. Obviously, Tony did not exactly have the best tenure with the White Sox. I think the age of the players and, him getting older has created something of a cultural divide in terms of the modern culture of baseball. But you know what? He was great here. He was great with the A's. And Dave Duncan, black magic, folks. All right, so we head here to the bottom of the fourth inning. Leading off is Mason Wynn. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Imanaga, he's out for his fourth frame. Here's the pitch. Strike, inside corner, thigh high, four-seam fastball, 91 miles per hour. And the count is now 0-1. He and Tony's analytics were ahead of the time. Yeah, absolutely. Lefty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Upstairs, four-seam fastball for a ball, 92 miles per hour. The count's 1-1. Whatever happened to his... Are you talking about Shelley Duncan? Because I remember Shelley Duncan. I think he might have had one other son. Here's the 1-1. Hit to the left side and through the hole for a base hit. Past the diving shortstop. And Mason Wynn leads off this bottom of the fourth inning with a single. And boy, Mason Wynn has needed that single. He has not shown very much on offense since that injury that he seemed to sustain about a week and a half ago when he got yanked from one of the games against the Pirates. And then, of course, had a day off after that. Tucson, Arizona checking in. Roger Baseman, thank you. Here's the first pitch to Fermin. Strike. Inside corner thigh high. The count is 0-1. And Tarps off's getting bigger as more people file in. Their numbers are expanding. Coming set is Imanaga, lefty-righty matchup. Runner leads off first. Here's the pitch. Hit to the left side, fielded by Bregman on a hop. He throws the second one. On to first. A double play. So Fermin grounds out into what appears to be a 5-4-3 double play for 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth inning. And Bregman was perfectly placed. He fielded on a pair of hops right there to the second baseman, transferred over, and there's no question he got Fermin by at least a step. Yes, Chris Duncan and Shelley Duncan. Those are the two. All right, 2 out, nobody on. Here is the righty hitting Segazy. Here's the pitch. Chop foul down the third baseline and out of play, and a curveball down and in. Count is 0-1. Go Cards. Yes, indeed. Segazy, he's 0 for 1 with a flyout. Nobody on, 2 out following that double play by Fermin. Here's the 0-1. Four-seam fastball up and away, 92 miles per hour. The count is 1-1. He had 3 Cy Young winners on one staff, yeah. Coming set is Imanaga. Here's a 1-1. Swinging strike on a four-seam fastball up 92 miles per hour. Not exactly cheddar, but it got the job done for Imanaga. And the count is 1-2. Imanaga, he comes set below the letters. Here's the 1-2. Fouled straight back on a four-seam fastball up and in at 92 miles per hour. The count remains 1-2. Yes, go Cards. Josh Bradley. Cheers. Thank you for making yourself known in the game mic roll call. Nobody on, 2 outs, a 1-2 count to the right hitting Segazy. Here's the pitch. Did he go around? No, says Blue down the first baseline. And the count is 2-2. Duncans have Tucson ties. I'll get to that in a moment. It's a 2-2 count. Here's the pitch. Hit on out there to left field. Going back out in front of the wall. He's looking up. And it is gone. A solo home run for Segazy. And that will tie the game all at 4. Oh, a solo home run by Segazy. Showing that the audacity of his bat there. We are all tied up at 4. Oh, that thing went right into the, I believe, the Cubs bullpen, just like Velasquez's back in the first. We are all tied at 4. Bismarck, Missouri in the house. Thank you for making yourself known in the game mic roll call. Now here's Vic Scott the second. He's 0 for 1, lefty-lefty matchup. 2 out, nobody on. Here's the pitch. Strike, sweeper on the outer third below the belt. The count is 0-1. Take that, Cubbies. This one's turning into a slugfest. Coming sets Imanaga. Here's the 0-1. Strike, sweeper, right down Broadway, right around the knees. The count is 0-2. That thing was at 82 miles per hour. Let's get that straight. Okay. Yeah, let's get that all straight. We're cool. Now, coming sets Imanaga. Here's the 0-2. Called strike 3, four-seam fastball, outer third below the belt for the third and final out of the inning. But not before the audacity of Sagasi showing off that bat with the solo job here in the bottom of the fourth inning. We are all tied at 4 down at Busch Stadium on the western banks of the mighty Mississippi. We head to the top of the fifth inning. I'm Paul D., and if it's your first time here, I'm your broadcaster here on Game Mike. This is very much turned into a St. Louis Cardinals play-by-play channel. So if you're a Redbirds fan, or you're a Cubs fan, or you're just a baseball fan checking in, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. And if you like what I'm doing, please leave a like. Really helps a small channel grow. And if you like it more than that, please do subscribe. So that way you can come back. You're able to get all your Cardinal games here that, quite frankly, not too easy to get elsewhere. You know where it is and when it is. And with that in mind, me here, you there. And this is Bombers Game Mike. Let's go to the chat. But actually coming to y'all from Goose Creek, South Carolina. You're a returning viewer. I remember Goose Creek, South Carolina showing up in the chat. Josh Bradley, thank you so much for coming on back and joining the fun. We are all tied at 4, awaiting the top of the fifth inning. That's what you want. That's what you need. So neither Pallante nor Imanaga have been anything that's even a shadow of impressive tonight. Undoubtedly, this is going to come all down to the bullpen. Let's F up that weak bullpen. Hello, Cubs fans. Yes, sir. Okay. Of course, if you're just joining me here, this one has been defined by its offense. All right, we are here for the top of the fifth inning. Excuse me, little indigestion. Suzuki's leading off, followed by Michael Conforto and the catcher Kelly. So, 6, 7, 8 in the order tonight for the Northsiders. Great voice and channel presence. Good job, buddy. Well, thank you so much. Here's the first pitch of Suzuki. Slider down and away, swung right over the top of that one. And the count is 0-1. And Gordon Graceffo, the righty, he is now in relief of Brule. Righty-righty matchup from the full line. Here's the 0-1. Strike, four-seam fastball on the outside corner, thigh high, whispered over the outside black to the righty hitter. Through 27 in the third innings pitch, a 1.65 ERA and a whip of 0.91, 3.95 Ks per inning. It's an 0-2 count. Graceffo from the full wind. Here's the 0-2. Curveball bounces out in front of the plate for a clear ball. The count's 1-2. Joe Breeding, I'm back. Sorry. I cooked the frozen pizza since we were talking about it. 4-4. Let's go, baby. Cards all day. Cheers. Cheers, Joe Breeding. It's a 1-2 count to the righty hitting Suzuki, who's in right field tonight for the Northsiders. Here's the 1-2. Just missed up and in on the four-seam fastball, 96 miles per hour from Graceffo. And the count's 2-2. Suzuki's 2 for 2 with a pair of singles tonight. Coming set from the full wind is Graceffo, the 2-2. Just missed down and away with the slider at 92 miles per hour. The count is 3-2. Greeting from the land of... Oh, JJ Number, you took it away from me. You stole it right underneath my eyeballs. It's a full count. Graceffo, the righty, he comes wind. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Hit on out there to right field over a few steps, maybe a half dozen for Walker. He pulls it in for the first out of the inning. So a solid start right here for Graceffo after his first batter. Coming in relief of Justin Brule. In case you're just joining us, Andre Pallante, he went 3. with 4 earned runs allowed. Not very good, but Imanaga, as you can see, has not been much better. So this is the third pitcher tonight used by the Redbirds. Now here's the lefty, Michael Conforto. He's 0 for 2. Here's the first pitch from Graceffo. Hit down the first base side now to play on a slider down and in. The count is 0-1. But yeah, this one feels like there might be a slugging match unfolding before us. Graceffo, unlike most relievers, is from the full wind. Here's the 0-1. Strike, four-seam fastball, inner third above the knees to the lefty hitting Conforto. And the count is now no balls and 2 strikes. And now they're showing Ollie Marmol there with his usual expressionless face. The great Sphinx in the dugout for the St. Louis Cardinals. From the full wind, here's the 0-2 to Conforto. Hit to the right side, fielded there by Burleson on a hop. He's taken it to the bag himself for the second out of the inning. Graceffo was obviously bolting out there to cover, but Burleson recognized that he could take it himself. And that is the second out of the inning. The only player we are missing besides Velasquez is Joshua Baez. I don't think you're going to be missing him much longer. Like I said, he started playing games down at in center field for AAA Memphis. And that is a message to Victor Scott. Carson Kelly, the catcher, he's 0 for 2. Ground out, fly out. Nobody on, 2 out here in the top of the 5th, all tied at 4. Here's the pitch. Hit on out there to right center field, going back over towards the track, in front of the track. Victor Scott makes the catch on the run for the third and final out of the inning. That one was hit particularly well, but Vic Scott, he was all over it. We head to the bottom of the 5th inning. No runs, no hits, nobody on. The Cubs go 1, 2, 3 in the top of the 5th inning. We are all tied at 4 in downtown St. Louis, Missouri, in Busch Stadium for Game 1 of this 3-game set, the first series that the Cardinals and Cubs play this year. And with all that in mind, this is Bombers Game Mic. Let's go to the chat. Our left and right towers. Good deal. He has good deal. Yeah, Victor Scott II really is making his paycheck on the fact that he is a extremely capable defender in center field. His range has been showed up really at every opportunity. He makes catches that, other center fielders playing defensively, even in the big leagues, may not make with the kind of ease that he does. Just can't hit. Yeah, that's pretty much that's the story right there. I need to tie some pork chops to him and have Dog stand next. Oh, now that's probably just going to turn into more bunts, honestly. So how is everybody feeling here tonight? All tied at 4 in the middle of this rivalry matchup. It's nice being in a really competitive game at the moment. Even though that heartbreaker on Wednesday afternoon happened to be competitive throughout, though luckily this time, we're not having to deal with a no-hitter. We can, just put that aside in terms of the emotional baggage we bring in this game. Yep, and the Tarps Off crowd is getting bigger and bigger. I think this is one of those Friday night, I don't know if this is a Friday night live game with the $5 dogs, $5 beers. 4-9-0 Cubs, 4-4-0 Cardinals. Now here's JJ for his third at-bat. Here's the pitch. Sweeper up and away for a ball. Lefty-lefty matchup. Imanaga is out for his 5th frame of work. JJ Weatherholt 1 for 2 with a double. Coming set is Imanaga. Here's the 1-0. Fouled down the third baseline out of play on a sinker up 89 miles per hour. The count's 1-1. That's definitely not where you want to put a sinker at 89 miles per hour. Love chimichangas. Oh, yeah, you and me both. I can't eat them as frequently as I get older, but they're good. Imanaga comes set. Here's the 1-1 to JJ. Hit on out there to right field. Going back right there in front of the warning track. Underneath it is Suzuki. He makes the catch for the first out of the inning. So something you got to say about JJ Weatherholt tonight. He's obviously 1 for 3, but certainly the double as well as that fly out there. He has been putting on some excellent swings on these pitches here from Imanaga. And now here's Ivan Herrera. He got hit with a pitch in his first at-bat. He's 0 for 1. Lefty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Strike, sinker, right down Broadway, below the belt, 90 miles per hour. The count is 0-1. That is not where you want to put a sinker at 90 miles per hour. It really isn't. 0 for 1 hit by pitch, and a run scored on that 3-run bomb by Velasquez. Here's the 0-1. Hit on out there to left field. Looking up, and it is long gone. A solo home run for Ivan Herrera. And that will give the Cardinals a 5-4 lead. Oh, boy, that thing was crushed. And once again, into the Cubs bullpen. Is that sending a message? You tell me, folks. 5-4 Redbirds here in the bottom of the 5th inning with 1 out. Oh, it was a no-doubter off the bat. And let me see. I'm going to see a replay on this thing here because, like I said, I've been saying this last 2 at-bats. You can't put a low 90 sinker out over the plate like that, thigh high or up. Here's the first pitch to Jordan Walker. Curveball down and in for a ball, 74 miles per hour. The count is 1-0. Still waiting on this replay. It better come. Lefty-righty matchup with the righty hitting Walker, who's 0 for 1. Coming sets Imanaga. Here's the 1-0. Hit right up the middle. Right there, played perfectly to the second baseman. He picks it up, throws to first in time for the second out of the inning. Cardinals 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters are like 3rd in the league. Actually, yeah, they are. Yeah, that thing was middle. It looks like that was actually a sweeper that didn't sweep. It just turned into a cement mixer breaking ball in the outer third, thigh high. And you can tell by Ivan Herrera's stance that he likes the ball away, so that was right in his wheelhouse. Now, here's Velasquez. He's 1 for 1 with a hit by pitch and a home run. Curveball down in the dirt, out of the zone. The count is 1-0. Yeah, in his first at-bat, first pitch, forcing fastball, middle. He hit it out in the first inning for a 3-run home run, which tied the game then. And in his previous at-bat, he got hit on his back foot with a sweeper. Here's the 1-0. Strike on the inner third above the knees. Curveball, 75 miles per hour. The count is 1-1. Yes, sir. Okay. Hit those corners, baby. Bro, pull this guy too. Tell it to Craig Counsell. Here's the 1-1. Off the plate, a sinker, 90 miles per hour. Floated over the lefty batter's box. Counts 2-1. My friend put 1K on the Cubs. Wow. Yeah, you're a bigger roller than I. Coming sets Imanaga. Here's a 2-1. Curveball down and into the righty Velasquez for a ball. It was a curveball, 76 miles per hour. And there has to at least be 120 of the tarps off folks there out in right field. Here's a 3-1. Hit to the third, right down there to short, fielded on a pair of hops. Swanson throws to first in time for the third and final out of the inning. But not before that huge bombola, absolutely crushed by Ivan Herrera, gives the Cardinals a 5-4 lead. So 1 run, 1 hit, no walks, nobody left on. We head to the top of the 6th inning. I'm Paul D, and this is Bombers Game Mike. Let's go to the chat. What a soldier. Yeah. You're about to lose that money tonight, my friend. Oh. All right, let's see. For all the excitement here at the moment, the chat's a little quiet here tonight. I'm a little surprised. You guys usually are a little bit more free fire. I mean, I got you. Go Cards, I'm a Brewers fan. Poke Paul. Well, Brewers fan or not. You and I, if that is indeed your first name is Paul, or part of your name, you're part of the sacred club. Paul's got to look out for each other. Okay. Roger Bass been working. Fair enough. Money on what? Well, Paulie D, you called that slugfest. Balls are flight tonight. Must be that cool Midwest air. Very seldom do I describe the air in the St. Louis area as cool, but it's been cool and smooth as can be in terms of the long ball tonight for the Redbirds. Yeah. Okay, Pokeball. Well, hey, it's always a pleasure to meet another Paul, another lifetime member, hopefully, of the Sacred Order of Paul. And this is not something I'm making up. I say this to every Paul I meet, and I have been for about 20 years. Humid Midwest area. Yeah, that sounds more like it. As I recall, this is the only place in the contiguous United States where you can have 100% humidity and it not rain. That's definitely in the brochure of the Chamber of Commerce for St. Louis. Now, here's George Soriano, the right-hander, in 23 games, 21 and 2/3 innings pitch, a 3.32 ERA, a whip of 1.15, righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Just off the plate, a slider to the righty hitting shortstop Swanson, who's 1 for 2. The count's 1-0. I'd rather have Texas dry heat. I love Texas dry heat to a degree. Here's the 1-0. Strike, sinker, outside corner below the belt. The count is 1-1 from Soriano. Yeah, the dry heat in northern Texas, especially the Metroplex where I've spent most of my time. But I hear the humidity will make your hair curl in Houston. Here's the 1-1. Swinging strike, four-seam fastball outside corner below the belt. Swung right underneath that one did Swanson, and the count is now 1-2 strikes. You would not be able to handle the Philippine heat. No question. I know I wouldn't. Believe me. I'm the guy who has the AC on Christmas Day. Coming set is Soriano. Here's the 1-2. Off the plate, a changeup for a ball. I'll bring the count to 2-2. So it's 5-4 Redbirds following the solo bombola by Ivan Herrera in the bottom of the 5th inning. In off here, of course, is the right-handed hitting shortstop Swanson. And Soriano deals. Called strike 3 on the changeup inside for the first out of the inning. Yeah, it was hot in the Philippines in November. I bet it was. Anytime I think about the Philippines, I just think about, heat and humidity. Brewers Astros tied at 1. Thank you, David Hodge. Now here is PCA for his 4th at-bat. Fouls it down the first base side and out of play on a slider down and in, 90 miles per hour from Soriano. And the count is 0-1. I'm calling from Brownsville, Texas, the Lone Star State, where the stars at night are big and bright. Here's the 0-1. Strike, changeup, right down Broadway, 92 miles per hour. That was definitely not where Soriano wanted it in all likelihood. But PCA does not swing, and he's ahead in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Nobody on, 1 out. It's an 0-2 count to PCA. Coming set at the belt is Soriano. He deals. Chop foul down the first base side and out of play on a slider in. PCA is actually somewhat disgusted with himself because he felt he should have turned on that. But he didn't. We had other things on our minds in the Philippines. I'm sure you do. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Well upstairs, about head high, bisecting the plate. 99 mile per hour four-seam fastball. Counts 1-2. Montana is a beautiful state to see stars. Yeah, I've always wanted to do that. Go out somewhere specifically in the west, away from any urban settlement, and look up without any light pollution. Here's the 1-2. Hit on out there to left field. Going back is the left fielder. He's underneath it. He makes the catch for the second out of the inning. So a couple of quick outs here by George Soriano. Go Redbirds. Enjoy your call. Well, thank you so much, Brian Toon. Thank you. And also for making yourself known there in the Game Mic chat. Montana Sunrise. I've heard good things. Now, here's the righty hitting second baseman, Horner. Righty-righty matchup with Soriano. Here's the first pitch. Strike, sinker, outer third below the belt. 99 miles per hour. The count is 0-1. Nico Horner, he's 0 for 2 with a walk today. 252, 4 home runs, 32 RBIs at second base this year for the Northsiders. Coming set is Soriano. Here's the 0-1. Hit on out there to center field. Coming in a few steps is Victor Scott. He makes the catch for the third and final out of the inning. No runs, no hits, no walks, nobody left on. We head to the bottom of the sixth inning. It is 5-4 Cardinals down at Busch Stadium tonight. I'm Paul D. Thank you so much for spending part of your Friday night with me and enjoying some of this rivalry matchup here by watching Game Mike. This is really much this has turned into a Cardinal play-by-play channel. Thanks to so many of you watching right now. And if you like what I do, please leave a like. It really does, and I can't exaggerate this because it's absolutely true. Please do leave a like. It helps a growing channel out immensely. And if you like it a little more than that, please hit subscribe. Or if you're like many Redbird fan and you know another one that's having trouble following day-to-day the game action because of the bizarre broadcast situation, share the link to this stream with them if you think they dig it. I appreciate everybody who comes by and gives it a chance. And with that in mind, I'm Paul D, and this is Bombers Game Mike. Let's go to the chat. St. Louis transplant living in South Carolina now. Another South Carolinian. Welcome aboard. I hear it's beautiful in Decatur, Illinois. Disindicator. St. Louis transplant stuck in Phoenix. Well, Richard Talley, hopefully this stream brings a little bit of home to you out there in Arizona. Thank you for making yourself known in the chat. Yeah, definitely. You got that right, Josh Bradley. Got two in South Carolina that we know of. And definitely make yourself known in the Game Mike roll call. Always love to know where you guys are watching or listening from, what you're doing. All right, the lefty slugger, the first baseman, Alec Burleson, he's leading off here for the Redbirds in the bottom of the sixth inning. Imanaga is out for his sixth frame of work. Here's the pitch. Chop foul down the first base side and out of play on a sweeper down and away, lefty-lefty matchup. And the count is 0-1. Richard Talley, love your channel. Thank you so much. That really does mean a lot to me. Here's the 0-1. Splitter down and in, 81 miles per hour. The count is 1-1. You lost your picture. Of which picture are you referring? Here's the 1-1 from Imanaga. Strike, sinker on the outer third, knee high. The count is 1-2, 89 miles per hour. That is far more what you're looking for. Alec Burleson, he's 0 for 2 tonight with a pop out and a fly out. Coming sets Imanaga. He deals. And he pops him up again into shallow right field. Underneath it there is Harner. He makes the catch for the first out of the inning. Burley reminds me of a slimmer John Kruk. A good deal slimmer at that. Wasn't he the guy who was famous for saying, here comes Craig Counsell. It looks like he's going to go and give Imanaga the hook here with one out in the bottom of the sixth. And indeed, that is what is happening. So I'll let you know what the matchup is here in a moment. Yeah, I believe John Kruk was the one who's famous for saying, I'm not an athlete, I'm a baseball player. Harry Weber, Joplin, Missouri. Another Missourian. You'll always have a special place here on Game Mike. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. He definitely, there's a reason he's had a very successful career in doing commentary on ESPN. I think he's over on MLB Network now, perhaps. So that catcher from Philadelphia has really made quite a career for him. I mean, he's made the All-Star team, obviously, when he played, but done a very fine job now over easily, almost 25 years in color, commentary. Not so much calling, doing it for games, but being in studio, that type of thing. I remember when he was on Baseball Tonight. Sad day today. Rest in peace, Claude Lemieux. You know who else aren't athletes? Golfers. Well, The gauntlet has been laid down in the chat. Okay, let's see here. Who are they going to? All right, they're going to the righty Roberts, who in 13 1/3 innings pitched over 10 games has a 0.68 ERA with 8 strikeouts and a whip of 0.90. Those are pretty good numbers. Clearly, Craig Counsell is not planning on trying to give up on this game. He's putting out some solid guys. All right, here's Mason Wynn with 1 out, nobody on. 5-4 St. Louis, bottom of 6. Roberts deals. Foul down the first base side, now to play on a cutter up and into the righty hitting shortstop for St. Louis. The count is 0-1. David Hodge, it's hot where I am. I feel your pain, brother. Coming set is Roberts. Here's the 0-1 to win. Sinker down in the dirt away, 94 miles per hour. The count is 1-1. Wait, what? Golfers? Easy. 35 years ago, maybe. Not now, bro. Like I said, the gauntlet was laid down. You guys can duke it out in the chat. Just keep it clean. Comes sets the righty Roberts. Righty-righty matchup. Here's the 1-1. Strike, cutter, right down Broadway, 93 miles per hour. And Roberts is ahead in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. So this is a tight game, a bit of a slug match. A bit of a slugging match, I should say. Here's the 1-2. Sweeper down and away, out of the zone, 84 miles per hour. That evens out the count at 2-2. It's funny, I don't even need the caffeine right now. I'm just thirsty. It's a 2-2 count to Mason Wynn with nobody on and 1 out. 5-4 Redbirds, bottom of the 6. Coming set is Roberts. Here's the pitch. Swinging strike 3 on the cutter up for the second out of the inning. So Roberts comes in here right away, gets Mason Wynn hacking for the second out. And here comes the right-handed hitting left fielder Jose Fermin, who in his last at-bat grounded out into a double play. Mountain Dew. I love Mountain Dew, actually. The original kind. And I also like Code Red. All right, righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Sweeper down and away in the dirt, well out of the zone. The count is 1-0 to Jose Fermin. Lucky day was priceless. Had me rolling. A soldier. Okay. It's a 1-0 count here to Jose Fermin. Roberts deals. Strike, sweeper, outside corner, just below the knees. I think it was a little charitable. In fact, I would say that this has been a rather large strike zone tonight, but nobody has bothered with the ABS challenge. I'm curious what the thinking is on that. Coming sets Roberts. Here's the 1-1. Hit to the left side, and it is in for a base hit. And into the corner. It looks like it hopped over the wall into foul territory there, about halfway up the line through the outfield. So I'm going to say it's a ground rule double there for Jose Fermin with 2 out. Here in the bottom of the 6th. Mountain Dew Code Red is liquid candy. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it did hop over the wall. It hit one of the high railings and came back out. It's a ground rule double there for Fermin. Now, here's the third baseman, Segazy, who his last time up hit a solo job out there into, I believe, the Cubby bullpen. So we're going to await this. This will be a righty-righty matchup. Pitching coach is out there to talk to Roberts for reasons, I suppose. I haven't seen anybody getting hot in the pen out there, but that has probably more to do with the Cardinal.TV broadcast than anything else. And the switch hitting, well, actually, there's a pinch hitter here. Pinch hitting for Segazy is the left-hander Nolan Gorman. So invariably, he'll be slotted in at third going into the top of the 7th. So the runner is at second with 2 out following the 2-out double by Jose Fermin. Looking to correct his night after grounding out into that double play. Lefty Nolan Gorman steps into the box. Runner leads off second. Coming set is the righty Roberts. Righty-lefty matchup. Here's the first pitch. Downstairs, a cutter, 95 miles per hour, clear out of the zone. The count is 1-0. Through 52 games, 217, 6 home runs, 25 RBIs, a 643 OPS for Nolan Gorman, who's pitch hitting here for Segazy. Here's the 1-0. Downstairs, once again, a cutter, very nearly in the same place, 94 miles per hour. Count is 2-0. Dizzy Dean. He slid into second base. Loved Dizzy's English. Yeah, he had a way with language, as did his brother. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Swinging strike on a cutter right down Broadway, 95 miles per hour. Swung right underneath that one, did Gorman, and the count is now 2-1. Nolan has been a decent pinch hitter over his career. Well, you certainly see why Ollie is going to him now. Coming set is Roberts. He deals. Swinging strike on a cutter up and away. Swung right underneath that thing, 95 miles per hour. Count is 2-2. So he hasn't been able to square that thing up yet. Yeah, Gorman is definitely due. Coming sets Roberts. Here's the pitch. Hit down the third baseline. Charging over towards the line is the left fielder going up against it, and it is into the first base stands. And Happ runs into that thing. He looks a bit shaken up. It looked like you got him, solidly on the side of the leg. Let me see here. It's his left knee went into the padding out there in left field. He thought he had a chance of the ball. It went out of his grasp and about a row deep. But he's not getting any sort of medical attention. He obviously has no interest in being removed from this game for any reason. And the count is 2-2 to Nolan Gorman. Stand by, Q-Man. I will get to your long comment there in a moment. Fermin, he leads off second. Infield defense shaded slightly towards right with the lefty Gorman. Coming sets Roberts. Here's the 2-2. Swinging strike, 3 on a sweeper, down and in, and that will do it. So the Cardinals, they waste that 2-out double by Jose Fermin. So no runs, 1 hit, no walks, 1 man left on. We head to the top of the 7th inning. It's 5-4 Redbirds going to the top of the 7th. I'm Paul D, and this is Bombers Game Mike. Let us go to the chat. Q-Man. There was a St. Louis bottling company that was bought out in the 70s. Owned the original Mountain Dew recipe. Just saying, all the sodas had better quality than what followed. Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the large changeover from cane sugar to high fructose corn syrup. I mean, if you ever do an A-B comparison between the same soda, one that has cane sugar and the other that has high fructose corn syrup, at least in my opinion and in my experience, I've always enjoyed the one with the real sugar. Cardinals average 4.5 runs per game, so the bullpen needs to hold them. Yeah, totally. Yeah, most sodas are garbage now, with one big exception. It's a favorite of mine, a Michigan original, and that is proper regular Verner's, the ginger soda. So, as I've mentioned in the past, I'm a little more ethnically genetically a little more than half Italian. But, the other half almost exclusively came from the Midwest, specifically Michigan. And I remember growing up and my mom saying to me, boy, she never called me boy, but it's good for the story. Boy, you are half Italian, half Michigan. Certainly in my soda habits. I'm a Pepsi girl. Actually, I like Pepsi better than Coke. Fight me. But yeah, actually I agree with that. I find it more thirst quenching, I think is the best way to describe it. Here's Joe Romero against the lefty Busch. Here's the first pitch. Strike, sinker, inside corner at the knees. The count is 0-1. It's a lefty-lefty matchup with the lefty Romero through 25 and 2/3 innings at 2.81 ERA and a whip of 1.21. Here's the 0-1. Chop foul down the first base side and out of play on the sweeper away, and the count is now 0-2. I liked Pepsi when I drank it. Yeah. Now, that being said, I really like Cherry Coke, but for very much the same reason. First baseman Michael Busch, left-hand hitter. He's 3 for 3 with 3 singles, an RBI, and a run scored tonight. Romero has him in the hole, 0-2. Here's the pitch. Sweeper down and away, well out of the zone, 83 miles per hour. The count is 1-2. Even the Coca-Cola Bear switched to Pepsi. Like I said, I really like Cherry Coke because it has that same kind of thirst-quenching quality. That, and I just love the taste of cherry, real or otherwise. Here's the 1-2. Chop foul off his foot on a sinker, up and in. The count remains 1-2. He may be referring to why Anheuser-Busch headquartered in St. Louis. It was because of the artesian wells that produced extremely clean water. I did not know that. In the Carolinas, we have Cheerwine. I love Cheerwine. And Sundrop. Never had that. Great sodas. I really like Cheerwine a lot, actually. It's slightly better than the Cherry Coke. And for the same reasons why I like regular Pepsi. Romero comes set below the birds. Here's the 1-2. Called strike 3 on a sinker, up and away for the first out of the inning. Busch got caught in the observatory, and that's 1 out here in the top of the 7th. Kathy Thomas, my husband likes cherry too. Yeah, there's just something about it that's so satisfying to me. That, and I really like fruit punch flavor, real or otherwise. Now, Romero, here's the first pitch. Strike, sinker, outer third below the belt to Alex Bregman, who's 1 for 2 with a single, hit by pitch, and a run scored. 1 out, nobody on. Top of the 7th, 5-4 St. Louis. Here's the pitch. Head out there to left field. Coming in is Fermin. He picks it up and snags it on the line for the second out of the inning. So a couple of pitches to Bregman there gets him to line out. Hell, I guess fly out to left. Right there to Jose Fermin for the second out of the inning. Never had Ski. I've had Ski. It's a solid local soda. I like their standard club cola. Now, here's Ian Happ, who's 2 for 3. Ran into the wall last half inning. Here's the pitch. Sweeper down and away for a ball. 82 miles per hour. The count's 1-0. It's like Midwest Mountain Dew. Interesting. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Strike, sinker, outer third below the belt. 94 miles per hour from Jojo Romero. I just love saying his full name. It just rolls off the tongue brilliantly. From the full wind is Romero. He deals. Sinker up and away out of the zone. 94 miles per hour. The count's 2-1. And the infield and outfield defense is largely straight away to the righty Hap. It's a lefty-righty matchup. Here's the 2-1. Foul down the first base side and out of play on a sinker, 94 miles per hour, out and over the plate. And the count is 2-2. You're back on. Did anybody have a cutout of picture here? Because I'm not seeing anything on my side. Here's a 2-2. Swinging strike 3 on the sweeper, down and in for the third and final out of the inning. So Hap goes down hacking, and we go to the bottom of the 7th. It's 7th inning stretch time at Busch Stadium here on Friday night. I'm Paul D. Thank you all for spending part of your Friday night with me in this first game of Cubs Cardinals. All 3 games this weekend are night games, which I'm particularly fond of. And if you enjoy my call of the game, you like what I'm doing here on Game Mike, please leave a like. It really does help a growing channel a lot. And if you want more of it, by all means, hit subscribe. It'd be a pleasure to have you back. With all that in mind, I'm Paul D., and this is Bombers Game Mike. Is Vest still operating? Not familiar. All good in Vermont. Okay, Ronald Lyle, that's good to know. Nope, no video/audio, spot on. Okay, good. Okay, thank you so much for those of you that replied and gave me the green light there. I mean, from what I can see over on YouTube, because they give you some ability to see the health of your stream, and it's giving me the green circle, excellent. But you know, I trust YouTube about as far as I can throw it. So, you know, I do appreciate you guys responding back on that. So it's so important to me. Just take a moment here as you go to the bottom of the seventh, that this stream has high quality audio and consistent quality video. Because if you're spending time here with me in these games, I want to give you the best stuff possible. It's very important to me, especially the audio part. All right, we're here for the bottom of the seventh inning. 5-4 Cardinals is getting late. Vic Scott's going to lead it off, followed by J.J. Weatherholt and, of course, Ivan Herrera. Roberts is out for his second frame. Righty-lefty matchup. Here's the pitch. Pop straight up. Old home run in a silo. Going back behind third into foul territory is Bregman. He makes the catch for the first out of the inning. So one pitch, one out here in the bottom of the seventh. Justin Beasley, appreciate it, Paul. I'm glad you appreciate it. That means a lot. It's really important. Cheerwine is made in Salisbury, North Carolina. My mom was born there. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, we have cheerwine here on the shelves in some grocery stores in the St. Louis area. I've bought it before. I tried it long before I moved here. I fell in love with it immediately. Now, righty-lefty matchup with Weatherholt. Here's the pitch. Inside a cutter for a ball, 92 miles per hour. Count is 1-0. More runs, Cardinals. Absolutely. J.J. Weatherholt 1 for 3 with a double. He's been putting good wood on it tonight, at least in his first three at-bats against Imanaga. Here's the pitch. Sweeper well off the plate for a ball, 83 miles per hour. The count is 2-0. What is Cheerwine? Cheerwine is a cherry-flavored cola that made its name, at least originally, in the American Southeast. Coming set is Roberts. Here's the 2-0. Fouled down the third base side now to play on a sinker away. And the count is 2-1 to JJ. I definitely recommend Cheerwine to anybody that has the ability to try it, has it nearby, and they like themselves a solid cherry cola, and it's better than just solid. Common set is Roberts. Here's the 2-1. Sweeper strike on the inner third at the knees. That thing basically looked like it was going straight till about 10 feet in front of the plate, in which case it took a 45-degree turn and dropped about 18 inches. It was actually very impressive. The count is 2-2 with one out here in the bottom of the seventh inning. There's nobody on. 5-4 Cardinals here in game one. Here's the pitch. Hit to the right side. Played there on a hop by the first baseman. Covering is Roberts to the bag. He's there in time for the second out of the inning. That sounds good. Thank you. Going to Georgia in 3 weeks. Maybe I could find it. Oh, yeah, let's put it this way. Any southern state I've ever visited it's always been in every grocery store at the very least. And the individual ones, I think they still sell them in glass bottles, if I remember correctly. Putting back a Florida man, IPA. Now here's Herrera. He's 1 for 2 with that solo job in his last at-bat. Here's the pitch. Sweeper strike, down and away. Swung right over the top of that one. Did Herrera, 84 miles per hour. He's 1 for 2, hit by pitch. Solo home run and a pair of runs scored. Very important tonight for the Cardinals, has Herrera been. Coming sets Roberts. Here's the 0-1. Hit down to third base. Fielded on a couple of hops by Bregman. He takes it in. He throws to first in time for the third and final out of the inning. 1, 2, 3, go the Redbirds. We head to the top of the eighth inning down at Busch Stadium on the western banks of the mighty Mississippi. I'm Paul D., and this is Bombers Game Mic. Any glass bottles is good. I remember. Look up Velasquez's numbers, getting it done. Yeah, definitely. Boone's Farms or MD 2020? I'm afraid I do not follow Justin Beasley. So we await the top of the eighth inning. 5-4 Cardinals here in game one of this three-game set. So let me give you a quick programming note. So tomorrow night, same start time, 6:15 p.m. Central Time. I'll start between 6:05 and 6:10. That thing is actually on Fox 2 locally here in St. Louis. And then on Sunday night, it's a 6:20 start time, but that one is on NBC and Peacock. Whatever the case may be, I will be here for all three. And then, of course, the three that start against the Rangers, once again, all night games, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, early this upcoming week, off day Thursday, and then they play a 3-game set at Busch Stadium the weekend after this. So it's a 3-game homestand for the Cardinals. And even though their record is better on the road so far this year, I think some home cooking does them well. Nothing like waking up in your own bed, eating your own food. Now, leading off is the right-hander, the right fielder, Suzuki, followed by Michael Conforto, and then the catcher, Kelly. And on the mound is Stanek, the right-hander, with the epic blonde mullet, might I add. Righty-righty matchup. Here's the first pitch from Stanek. Strike, sinker, outer third below the belt, 98 miles per hour. The count is 0-1. Through 24 games, 21 innings pitched, an ERA of 6, a whip of 1.86, 12 Ks per 9. Here's the 0-1. Upstairs, four-seam fastball out of the zone, 98 miles per hour. The count is 1-1. There's nothing worse than a mad dog hangover. Seriously. Here's the 1-1. Hit on out there into left center field and in for a base hit. Fielding it is fair mean, so a lead-off single here for Suzuki in the top of the 8th inning. This homestand is big for the Cardinals. You got that right, Richard Talley. It is huge. Cheap wine. I remember those too. A lot of those occasions happened on the north side of Chicago. Now here's Michael Conforto. He's 0 for 3. Here's the pitch. Strike, slider, inner third, thigh high. The count is 0-1. So Suzuki leads off first following the leadoff single. Michael Conforto 0 for 3 with a ground out back in the 5th. He's at DH tonight for the Northsiders. Come and sit at the Birds is Stanek. Here's the 0-1. Swinging strike on the splitter away. Swung right over the top of that one, 90 miles per hour. The count is now no balls and 2 strikes. That, and I've had more old style than I would ever care to admit to publicly. Why? Because it was cheap. But that was before I began enjoying, albeit a sin here in St. Louis, Miller High Life from the glass bottle. Very good. Here's the 0-2. Upstairs, four-seam fastball, 98 miles per hour. The count is 1-2. I found my taste for it at the end of the tour of the Miller Brewery up in Milwaukee, right before I saw my first Brewer game, 2009. Here's the 1-2. Swinging strikes 3 on the splitter, down and away. Down he goes hacking for the first out of the inning. So after giving up that leadoff single there to Suzuki, he gets Michael Conforto hacking on that splitter down and away for the first out of the inning. Oh yes, the champagne of beer. Yeah, it tastes like honey. I like Pilsners, just more generally. Here's the first pitch. Chopped on up the middle, fielded there by Stanek on a hop in front of the mound. He throws to first in time to get Kelly there at first. Suzuki, he moves up towards second. And that is the second out of the inning. Miller High Life 32-ounce cans were hella cheap. Memories. Yeah, that's 32 ounces is a big one. And now the trainer's coming out there with Ollie Marmol to go and take a look at Stanek. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe we can get some clarity here on instant replay should they grace us with the opportunity. Here they go. I'm just taking a look here what it might be. I think he turned his left ankle a little weird when he spun and threw to get the runner at first. That, and he landed on it kind of weird. So as a right-hander, his landing foot is his left foot. So anything going on with the ankle can screw with his mechanics and make God knows what else get worse. They're doing a couple of test pitches. So we're awaiting the outcome of that. My worst hangover was wild turkey from a bachelor party. Yeah, I could see why. That's not for greenhorns. By the way, thank you for broadcasting and doing fantastic work. Joe Breeding, it is my absolute pleasure to do it. I can't tell you how much I look forward to this every day. You guys are so much fun. All right, runner on second with 2 out here. Now here's the shortstop, Dansby Swanson. He's 1 for 3, a single run and a stolen base. Down at second is Suzuki. He had a leadoff single to start off the top of the 8th. It's a righty-righty matchup. Stanek deals. Swinging strike on the slider, down and away, 89 miles per hour to the righty Swanson. The count is 0-1. 101 proof. Thank you, sir. Hey, absolutely. Next wild turkey shot you take, do it in honor of Game Mike. Here's the pitch. Splitter down and away, well out for a ball. Floated over the lefty batter's box. Counts 1-1 to Swanson. Do you have a separate channel for Yankee games? So that's an interesting question. I'll answer that in just a moment. Stanek comes set at the Birds. Here's the 1-1. Foul back on a sinker up and in, 99 miles per hour. Count is 1-2. So to answer your question, Richard Talley, this channel originally began as a Yankee play-by-play channel, though through interesting circumstance and an act of thoughtful comforting of my wife, it's turned into a Cardinal one. I'll explain in a moment. Here's 1-2. Splitter in the dirt, nowhere near the zone. The count is 2-2. Basically, a couple of weeks ago, I was on the road. The Yankees had already played. I'd already called that day. My wife had a difficult day at work. She's a native, so, she's primarily a Cardinals fan. Yankees are 1A for her. Same with me, but in reverse. And I decided to do a Cardinal game for her. Here's the pitch. Fouled down the third baseline and out of play on the slider in. The count remains 2-2. And basically, I decided, hey, the Yankees had already played. It was a 9:40 start time that night. And I was just going to do it for her, just kind of help comfort her because I couldn't be here physically to do that. And she could fall asleep to it. Little did I realize that 700 other people were going to show up to the party. And it really has just made all the sense in the world just to stick to it. I mean, I have a deep and long-held affection for both the Cardinals and the people of the greater St. Louis area. So that's kind of how I got here. Here's the 2-2. Did he go around? No, says Blue down the first baseline, and the count is now 3-2 strikes. I understand, Joe Breeding. Actually, the Yankees are kind of sick at the moment. You see that rotation? I wish we could import Cam Schlittler. Here's the 3-2. Hit on out there to right field. Going over to his right is Jordan Walker. He's underneath it. He makes the catch for the third out of the inning. So we head to the bottom of the 8th. No runs, 1 hit, no walks, 1 left on. It is 5-4 Cardinals going to the bottom of the 8th inning. No doubt they are hoping to get themselves an insurance run or two to try and close this one out against the guys from the north side of Chicago. We shall see if they succeed. But with that in mind, me here, you there, and this is Bombers Game Mike. So is my wife also a Yankee fan? Yeah, so basically the way it works is this, right? When she and I met in September of 2008, the Yankees and the Cardinals had played a whopping 2 series in interleague play at that point. At Yankee Stadium in 2002 and at Busch Stadium in 2005. And then previous to that, it was the 1964 World Series. So there was no conflict there. That, and I already had an admiration for the Cardinals prior to even meeting her. And so I absorbed her Cardinal fandom, so Yankees 1, Cardinals 1A, and for her, Cardinals 1, Yankees 1A. Thankfully, they've never faced each other in the World Series. I don't want to think about that, and frankly, I don't think she does either. But that's kind of how it's worked out. Hopefully some insurance. Yeah, you better believe that. Kathy Thomas, let's go Cards. Cheers. Who's going to close this game? Well, that's always the question now, isn't it? Two best dynasty teams out there, absolutely. Absolutely. The front of the class of the history of Major League Baseball in terms of winning. They are in a class all themselves, no doubt. Because we are second chip. Yeah, I believe 11 World Series crowns for the Cardinals, if I remember correctly. O'Brien would be the best choice. You're probably correct. I'm the GOAT. Really? Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. You guys are very generous and encouraging. Now, here's Jordan Walker leading it off. Here's a pitch. Hit to the left side. Fielded deep in the hole by Bregman. He throws to first in time to get Jordan Walker. One pitch, one out from Phil Matten, who is now in the game. The righty, 17 innings pitch, a 7.41 ERA, a whip of 7.71, 10.59 Ks per nine, and a ground ball rate of 41.7%. Now here is Velasquez. He's 1 for 2 with that big 3-run dinger back in the bottom of the first. Here's the pitch. Strike, cutter, right down Broadway, 88 miles per hour. The count is 0-1 to Velasquez. Yes, 85 did happen. Here's the 0-1. Curveball down and away, 76 miles per hour. The count is 1-1. Yeah, that 85 team, didn't they win like 101 games or something like that? Cub and set is Maton. Here's the 1-1. Hit to the left side, fielded deep in the hole by Swanson. He throws from the left field grass, nowhere near first base. So Velasquez will get his second hit here tonight. That'll make him 2 for 3, because remember, he was also hit by a pitch off of by Imanaga on his right hand. So runner on first with one out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Me and my mom are thankful for you. Well, thank you to both you and your mom. I'm thankful for you. Now here's Burleson. He's 0 for 3. Runner on first with one out. Here's the pitch. Foul down the third baseline and out of play, and a cutter up and away. 90 miles per hour. The count is 0-1. The bottom of the 8th inning with a runner on first, one out, 5-1 Cardinals late. Burleson is back into the box. Maton comes set, righty-lefty matchup. Here's a pitch. Up and away, a cutter out of the zone, 89 miles per hour. The count's 1-1. Don Deckinger. Let's go Burley. I will get to the other chats here in just a moment. Coming sets Maton. Runner leads off first. Throws over to first. Back in time is Velasquez, taking less than a nothing lead here. The count remains 1-1. Velasquez making good contact. Yeah, he's been plug and play. He just first game up. You're hitting clean up. Have fun. Coming sets Maton. Runner leads off first. Here's the pitch. Hit foul weakly over to the Cardinal on deck circle on the curveball away to Alec Burleson. And the count is 1-2. Imanaga average fantasy points per game is 20.1, and tonight he got me 2.8. Yeah, that is not a good showing. He's been rough the last 2 outings before this. Coming set is Maton. Here's a 1-2 to Burleson. Swinging strike 3 on the cutter up and in for the second out of the inning. So Alec Burleson has had a weird last 10 days offensively. I feel like there are some pitches, like the one he just struck out there, that he usually finds a way to turn on, but it hasn't been happening. Now, here's the righty hitting shortstop for St. Louis, Mason Wynn. Runner on first, 2 out, bottom of the 8th inning, 5-4 St. Louis here in game 1 of the 3-game set. Here's the pitch. Strike, curveball, right down Broadway, 75 miles per hour. The count is 0-1. 2011 was the best World Series. Mason Wynn, he's 1 for 3 with a single. For me, there's a whole story. Some of you have probably already heard it at this point, though. Coming set is Maton. Here's the 0-1. Sweeper down and away, floats over the lefty batter's box, counts 1-1. Twins cheated in both World Series wins. HVAC cheaters in that messed up stadium. I've been to that old stadium. And I'll get to it in a moment. Coming set is Maton. He throws back over to first. Velasquez once again back easily. Didn't even need to put a head first slide in there. He has less than a 0 lead. 2011 was 15 years ago. Holy crap. Yeah, tell me about it. That time has absolutely flown. Coming set is Maton. Righty-righty matchup. Runner leads off first. Here's the pitch. Fouled straight back on the cutter, up and in, 89 miles per hour. And the count is 1-2 to the righty hitting shortstop for St. Louis. And a man holding a baby managed to catch that ball off the bat. And he is rightfully getting a proper round of applause. And he did it with his bare hand, mind you. He's getting a round of applause by all the neighboring sections. Here's the 1-2. Hit to the right side and through the hole for a base hit. Fielding there is Suzuki. Staying right there at second is Velasquez. And that puts runners on first and second with 2 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Teams like to cheat by reading calls a lot. Got to watch your stuff and other things. Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar with how the Twins tried to leverage their HVAC system at the old Metrodome. I'd be very curious to look more into that. Now here's Jose Fermin, who had himself a bomb earlier. He's 1 for 3. Runners on first and second, 2 out. Maton deals. Strike, curveball, inside corner at the knees to the righty hitting Jose Fermin. Count is 0-1. Jose Fermin, 1 for 3 with a double. Correction. He had a double, not a home run. Coming set is the righty Maton. Righty-righty matchup. Here's the pitch. Strike, curveball, right down Broadway, 75 miles per hour. The count is 0-2. Birthday was on the 27th. I'm 48, not that young. Hey, age is a sign of success. And happy birthday. Coming sets Maton. Here's the 0-2. Hit to the left side and over Swanson's head into left field for a base hit. Coming home, rounding third, it is Velasquez. He will score, and that will give the Cardinals a 6-4 lead. Oh, that is some clutch hitting off the bat of Jose Fermin. And now the Cardinals got themselves a bit of an insurance run with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. And yeah, that was a breaking ball. Looked like a slider just left up and well out over the plate. And with 2 outs, Velasquez was just going on contact there. Had it been 3-2, he would have been going just like on first movement. Craig Counsell's coming in. Maton is getting the hook. Incoming is Milner. Take a look at his numbers in a moment. Okay, so the lefty, Hobie Milner, unless it's Hobby, I don't know why you'd name your kid that, but whatever. In 2026, in 25 games, he's currently 1-0 with a 2.52 ERA, 25 innings pitched exactly, 12 strikeouts, and a whip of 1.04. So, Counsell is going to the lefty here, which of course is Nolan Gorman, who pinch hit for Segazy a couple innings ago. So he's trying to leverage the lefties coming up. So Gorman, Vic Scott the second, and then J.J. Weatherholt. And then it gets broken up with Herrera, but that's way ahead of us at this point. 200 watching. Like up, please. Yes. By all means, if you're enjoying you're new, well, I should say, I'm Paul D. And if this is your first time watching Bombers game, Mike, I pretty much am now calling every single Redbirds game. So if you're having trouble finding the game on TV, given the bizarre broadcast situation, you know you can find it right here with me on Bombers Game Mike. And if you're enjoying what I'm doing here so far, please leave a like. It helps out a growing channel immensely. And if you want to come back and know when to come back, by all means, hit subscribe. These things are usually scheduled, anywhere between 90 minutes and a full day in advance. Whatever the case is, if you have notification on with push notifications from YouTube, you'll know 30 minutes ahead of time at least. All right. The lefty Milner against the lefty Gorman. He steps off the rubber, bluffs, throws back towards Mason Wynn on second. So no action there. Coming sets Milner. Here's the pitch. Strike, sweeper right down Broadway, 79 miles per hour to the lefty Gorman. Once again, this is a lefty-lefty matchup, which it will be if we get to Vic Scott and J.J. Weatherall. Runners on first and second, 2 out, 6-4 Cardinals, bottom of the 8th. Here's the pitch. Hit on out there to shallow right field. Underneath it is the second baseman, Horner. He calls for it. He makes the catch for the third and final out of the inning. And yes, O'Brien is coming into this game as the closer for the Redbirds. It is 6-4 St. Louis going to the top of the 9th inning. And if you're a Redbirds fan, you're sitting on your hands right now. You're sitting on your hands. Cubs fans only show up when it's over, a tradition of losing. I'll tell you this. So as I mentioned, I lived on the north side of Chicago for about 4.5 years. Graduated from Loyola Chicago like my wife did. And so I dealt with Wrigley Field a lot. A whole lot. And because they love playing day games so much, especially on Fridays, there'd be times where I was coming back from class, long day of class, downtown near the water tower, and I would forget that the Cubs would play day games. And so by the time the red line stop got to Addison, in came this human wave of Cubs fans. Many of them intoxicated, rightfully so. And it was just like getting T-boned by a human tidal wave of Cubs fans. And it's happened more than once, They were all back-to-back and belly-to-belly. Very memorable, especially, the 24 times that it happened. Don't like the Cubs, but would love to go to Wrigley. Wrigley is a really good experience, even if you're not a Cubs fan. Of the two antique ballparks, Wrigley and Fenway, I prefer Wrigley vastly. And it's not just a Yankee Red Sox thing. It's because when both of those ballparks were opened, obviously the size of people were a little smaller. So the seats are a bit smaller. And up in Fenway, it just makes me feel claustrophobic in a way I've never felt at Wrigley Field. And I've been to both places in completely sold out crowds. It's quite memorable. I have a touch of the claustrophobia. Doesn't hurt me in any meaningful way most of the time. I can fly without an issue. But when you're packed into a ballpark, a jewel box ballpark at that was built in the early 20th century, you begin to feel it. Now, here's the first pitch, I believe, to PCA upstairs for a ball. He's 0 for 4 tonight. And O'Brien is in the game. The count is 1-0 to PCA. Nobody on, nobody out. 6-4 Cardinals, top of the 9th. O'Brien on for the save. Here's the pitch. Hit on out there to right field in front of the wall, looking up. And it's off the base of the wall. Playing the carom is Jordan Walker. He throws on in to second. And PCA is into second with a stand-up lead-off double here in the top of the 9th inning. Will it be another 100 years for them to win anything? I don't know, Kathy Thomas. I honestly don't know. Joe Britting, 100 years for which team? The one in blue and gray. I think it's fair to say. Welcome, everybody. It's the top of the 9th. Runner on second with nobody out. 6-4 Cards. Here's the pitch. Sinker up and in for a ball. 98 miles per hour. The count is now 1 ball, no strikes. 24 in the third innings, a 2.96 ERA, a whip of 0.99 is O'Brien. Here's the pitch. Well upstairs and in to Horner with a sinker at 99 miles per hour. Not intentional, but that would definitely be described as what Roger Clemens at one time would have said was a bow tie. But with him, it would have been very much intentional. Coming set is O'Brien. PCA leads off second. Here's the pitch. Changeup downstairs and out of the zone, and the count is now 3-0 to Horner. It's a righty-righty matchup. Horner is 0 for 3 tonight. Always Cardinals forever, 100%. Give a little heart reaction there. I'll read you out in a moment, Warren. PCA leads off seconds, a 3-0 count to Horner, 6-4 Cardinals in the top of the ninth. There's nobody out. Here's the pitch. Strike, sinker, right down Broadway, about thigh high, 98 miles per hour. The count is 3-1. My wife's dad loves the Cubs. My brother played Little League for the Cubs. My grandpa loved the Cubs. I am a Cubs guy. Oh, about that. Here's the next pitch. Strike, sinker, right down Broadway, 98 miles per hour. And the count is now full, 3 balls and 2 strikes to the righty Horner. Pete Crow Armstrong, he leads off second following that lead-off stand-up double to right field. Coming set is O'Brien. Here's a 3-2. Hit right up the middle. Hits O'Brien in the leg. He throws to first in time for the first out of the inning. And PCA will move over to third. So it was a low liner. It got O'Brien a look on the meaty part of one of his thighs. He does not look even remotely in discomfort, but the training staff and Ollie Marmol are obviously going to go take a look at him because he took a major league line drive off of one of his legs. Let's see exactly where it hit here on the replay. Okay, so it hit him, look like on his right hamstring, but he doesn't look even remotely in any discomfort. So PCA leads off third. He advances 90 feet on the play. And there's one out here in the top of the ninth. It's 6-4 Cardinals. O'Brien is in trying to nail down the save. Here's the lefty hitting first baseman Busch, who's 3 for 4. Here's the first pitch. Down and in, a slider, and making a fantastic catch and save on that thing is Ivan Herrera. He had to go almost full extension to make sure that didn't go to the backstop. And Pico Armstrong advanced 90 feet to bring the game within 1 run. It's a 1-0 count, righty-lefty matchup. Here's the pitch. Foul tipped over towards the Cubs on deck circle. A sinker down and away at 98 miles per hour. The count is 1-1. I wouldn't talk anyone. I know how you feel. Coming set is the righty O'Brien. Here's the 1-1. Swinging strike on a sweeper down and in the dirt. 83 miles per hour. Swung over the top of that one, did Busch. O'Brien is now ahead in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. With the runner at third, it would have to be a very unusual double play, I will say. Coming set is O'Brien. Here's the 1-2. Sweeper down and in. Did he go around? No. Didn't even appeal to the third base umpire. That's how confident Blue behind the plate was on that. So the infield defense, they're playing deep, so they're not concerned about cutting down the runner at home. Here's a 2-2. Hit on out there to left side field on a hop by Gorman. He throws to first in time for the second out of the inning. However, Pete Crow Armstrong does score on the play, and that will make it 6-5 St. Louis here in the top of the ninth. However, there's now nobody on with 2 outs. And Alex Bregman, the right-handed hitter, is at the plate. Everybody at Busch Stadium is on their feet. Coming sets O'Brien. Here's the pitch. Hit on out to the left side. Charging in is Mason Wood. He fields on a hop. He throws to first in time. And that will do it. So your final is 6-5 Cardinals here in Game 1 of this 3-game series. And now, for the first time in nearly a week, here's the victory tune. Oh, yes. Absolutely. They came through tonight enjoying some of that home cooking down here in downtown St. Louis. How much more can you ask for, folks? Not the cleanest win, but a win all on its own. 6-5 is your final. This is the victory tune. Oh, yes, folks. Oh, yes. That's a winner, yes. May the late, great Jack Buck be pumped up in the afterlife after this one. So a solid home win here in Game 1 for the Cardinals. Your final is 6-5 here on Friday night. They take Game 1. And not a moment too soon. And if you're just coming in here and you're just seeing the final, by all means, leave a like there for the Redbird victory tonight, in addition to my call of the game. So I'd like to thank you all so much here for joining me on Bombers Game Mic for this renewed rivalry edition of Game Mic. I will be back tomorrow for the 6:15 p.m. scheduled first pitch between the Cubs and the Cardinals tomorrow night at Busch Stadium. The stream will start probably between 6:05 and 6:10. I think there's a decent chance we might end up seeing Jimmy Crooks in the lineup there. We shall see. But whatever the case is, that's where the action will be. Everyone like the stream before you leave. Thank you so much, Justin Beasley. Good call. Thank you so much, Woodworking Outdoorsman. Thank you for coming back. See you tomorrow. Richard Talley, you better believe it. I appreciate you, Paul D. Joe Breeding, I appreciate you. Thank you for broadcasting, bro. Josh Bradley, it really is my pleasure. See, Joan, another great call. Cheers. Cheers to you. I'm number 40. I don't play. Fair enough. Go Cardinals. Reese K. Thanks, Paul. Before I leave, thank you. So 6-5 Cardinals is your final. This has been a presentation of Bombers Game Mic. Thank you all so much for spending Game 1 with me and spending part of your Friday night with me. I'll be back tomorrow for the scheduled 6:15 p.m. Central Time first pitch here on Game Mic. You will get the broadcast community post per the usual, and you'll be able to see the scheduled stream as well, no doubt. Stay strong, staying alive, and never, never no fear, everybody. Cheers to that, Joe Breeding. Thank you all so much. 6-5 is your final. Bombers Game Mic, over and out. Be well wherever you may be tonight, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you again, and good night.